This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
And there you have it. What a lineup it is. Tony Blount, Josh Kane first up tonight, and the winner of that will play a blockbuster second match. Dom Cooney against Jordan Church is the match a little bit later on. Cannot wait for that one. First up, though, it is Tony Blount against Josh Kane. Those are the two men. Josh Kane, a great pedigree, and worth pointing out, had a great run in the previous competition on Free Sports in the Champions League, qualified out of his group in first position, only for then, in the last 16, to return a positive COVID test the night before he was due to play, and he had to eventually drop out. And everyone was, of course, gutted for Josh at the time. And I know he's thinking this is a great chance to make amends in this competition. He feels like he's got unfinished business on this table.
Yeah, I think we all really did feel for Josh. He really entertained us in week one of that Champions League, and he really did deserve his place in the second stage and wasn't able to take it. And I know we all felt sorry for him, but he's back now and he's over those troubles, and looking forward to seeing how he gets on tonight.
That's an interesting first break from Josh. He's got a good split on yellows here, but he has got one pretty big problem at the top of the table, no matter what his colour set. He's actually going to turn the table over. Not hugely surprised by that. No, not a surprise at all. I think reds would have been the colour set to go for, simply because of the problems at the top of the table. Much easier to solve from reds than from yellows, but he didn't have a great look at either reds or yellows, so just the safety shot. And I think he was looking to make sure he's covered that red at the top of the table. I think cuts to the top left. That was what he was examining. And I think, judging from Tony's reaction, he has managed to do that. So a bit of an early tactical battle here. Still open table. Tony's going to decide to go for it. He's an attacking player. He's here for a good time, not a long time, Tony Blount. He impresses in the Champions League. He was the regional qualifier in that event. Really good standard county player, Tony Blount, and gave a good account of himself, I thought, in the Champions League, in a really, really tough group. David McNamara, Carl Sutton, Craig Lakin, established names of the pool world. And despite picking up 3 defeats, he actually showed us a little bit of what he can do. It was his first time playing on TV, biggest stage of his pool career by a mile, and I think that experience will have helped him enormously for this event, and his performance in the Champions League earned him an invitation into this event, so he must have done something right.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think the fact that was his first time on TV, the nerves that are there, and he was disappointed with. We felt he actually handled himself quite well out there, but he was still disappointed with one or two things he did, and I think he'd have analysed that, and he'll come in here much better prepared for tonight's match. He was only down to sort of 1 or 2 shots in each of his 3 matches that kind of cost him.
Well, that's a safety shot from Tony Blount. It's a pretty decent one as well. Josh, despite having, well, what you thought would have been the advantage taking reds at this juncture, now it's difficult. Yellows are a lot better placed. Reds still have an advantage. They have 1 problem ball if he can get rid of that yellow at the top of the table.
He's already been around to have a look to see whether he likes it as a skill shot in a couple of shots' time. And where he's placed the cue ball, I think he is exactly where he wants to be for this skill shot. So red onto yellow, and want the red to track it in. And of course, with international 8-ball rules, if it doesn't track it in, he's still going to be in pretty good shape from it. So it's all in his favour for taking it on. If he doesn't like the skill shot, then he could just play the red onto the yellow, and he should be able to leave it completely tight and tied up. And that's what he's done.
Yes, that's not a foul in international 8-ball rules. It just turns the table over. It's probably, if we're honest, the most controversial aspect of the international 8-ball rules. But what I like about it forces attacking play. It stops that element of all the power in the frame belonging to whoever can cover a pocket, and I think that's the important element of it.
Just keeps frames moving. I'm a big fan of the rule, if I'm honest. It took me, coming from different codes of the game, different rule sets, it took me a while to feel comfortable with it, but actually when you start to play it, and you start to analyse it, I think it's fantastic. It really does promote attacking Paul. Doesn't mean you can't play tactically, it just means that more often than not the aggressive route is the right route.
Now then, Tony Blount has a problem. Wanted to slide past that 8 ball, he hasn't managed to do so with that last positional shot, so this will be a safety. And I have a feeling Josh Kane will back himself to clear from here.
Yeah, in the end, that's a bit of a nothing shot, really, simply because he's done nothing to promote anything and he's not really tied much up. What he wanted to do is make sure that he didn't open up that red at the top of the table, but Josh has got so many balls in the area at the top there that he can use any of those to cannon out that bad ball.
And notice what he's done there. It's another clever shot. He's forced Tony to play that yellow that's tied to the cushion. If he does do that, he frees up Josh's problem red as well. He's an excellent top player, is Josh Kane. 2017 World Master. You just simply do not win that title without being a brilliant player. He got to the final of 2019's edition as well. And you can see that is exactly why Tony had to play cushion first onto that other yellow. Josh still waiting for that opportunity to go for this. Doesn't want to hand out any freebies. He'll be well aware that he's the heavy favourite for this one, but there will be that element of respect. Every player knows that if you can pot a ball, you've got a chance, and Tony Blount can certainly do a lot more than that.
I was a little bit surprised that Josh didn't take the aggressive route on his previous visit to the table, because the balls were there for him. He only needed one cannon and he had options to do so, and you can argue that he's actually in a slightly worse position now by waiting a visit, and he may well wait another visit, and it may not get much better for him. Sometimes you just need to take it on.
I think that's what he's thinking. Extension calls, players get one a frame, and he is going to take this on. I'm with you. I thought it was surprising he didn't go a little bit earlier, but I think that was really just a sign of respect. He wanted to make sure, but sometimes think with the 45-second shot clock, players do, you know, argue against themselves a little bit, don't they? And talk themselves out of finishes.
Well, he wasn't taking it on. He was not trying to pot that. I thought he might, but now that he's the way he played that tells you he was just trying to leave that over the pocket, leave it snookered. And actually, now that he's potted 2 balls, he's a bit more of an even frame here. Still looking for the snooker.
Yeah, Josh, in a funny way, has played himself in difficulty here, hasn't he? In trying to do the opposite.
Josh was hoping to stop Tony from seeing the yellow furthest left, but he may just about have done that. He may be able to see the edge. Well played shot from Tony. So easy to overhit that shot and leave Josh on the red at the top of the table.
Lovely to see spectators in. How good is that? We saw it at the weekend with the FA Cup final. And the energy in this place. Guy arrived about midday. The energy in the place was buzzing, and it was brilliant to see. You know, the country is slowly returning back to whatever normal is or was, and really has everyone in the place absolutely buzzing. It's great to be a part of.
Almost felt a little bit surreal to start with.
Yeah,
it's been so long.
That's a great shot from Tony. That
fantastic. Yeah,
played that really, really well. And Tony's now actually favourite for the frame. You know, obviously both players have that problem ball, the two that are stuck together, but Tony's got a far easier cannon than Josh does. Josh has actually hampered himself here.
Yeah, it's certainly getting harder for Josh. I wouldn't quite go as far as saying Tony's a favourite, but it's very much more even. I can certainly agree that yellow at the top is so much easier to solve from yellows if Josh leaves him a chance to do so. And it's a good choice for me for Josh. He's tried to block the yellow to the top left. He hasn't quite managed to do so, but he has managed to get a red back up to that end of the table, which he needs to play that cannon we've been talking about. He may look to play the snooker here. He can come off thin, off the red on the right-hand side, and try and track behind the red at the top of the table. or he could come back down the table. It's his choice.
That's a handy shot. Josh has the advantage in the safety battle in terms of he's almost serving in it, isn't he? He's constantly setting the trap for Tony to try and break. It's another good shot from Tony, I think, is it? Oh, he's missed that by a hair.
So close, but still doesn't give Josh the advantage he's looking for. International 8-ball rules, you do not get your free shot or a shot on a visit like other rule sets. You just get your normal one visit, and okay, you can place a cue ball anywhere on the table to give yourself the angle you need to develop that red at the top of the table. But it's not guaranteed to come out well for him. Wants to probably catch the yellow rather than the red. It hasn't come out well.
Yeah, this is tough. He's obviously got a pot on. He can play the red down the bottom of the table, but getting on to the next one is really tough.
Yeah, I think if he was to come and look back at this frame, he'd kind of probably regret his decision not to go for it quite a bit earlier, because he was always still going to have to play that cannon, and it would have been so much easier if he had, remember, he had a ball over both the top pockets. If he could have played the cannon at the same point as leaving those over the top pockets, he would have been able to make the clearance.
It was a great effort. It really was. Just wonder if that red actually sneaks through down the cushion past the yellow. Can't tell from this angle, but it's going to be another safety here from Josh.
This time it's really important for Tony to make sure he makes contact. If he makes contact on the yellow furthest left, then he's favourite to win the frame. Oh, he's missed it.
He certainly has. Doesn't really matter that the ball's gone down the pocket. Same outcome. And now Josh should go and win the frame. Done it the hard way. He's gone the long way around, as it were, but Josh Kane should be able to now make this count. He can pick his angle, pick his line, pot the red, and just float down the table for an 8-ball into the corner. Simple enough. This for 1-zip. After we've gone around the hills a touch, Josh Kane gets it done and leads by a frame to 0. Well, here he is, the man from Coventry, still just 26. He's accomplished a lot in the game for his age. You can see there, 2017 World Master, a big time title to win. It's the final of 2019's edition as well. He is a home nation singles champion too, which, again, considering the lineup in that tournament, not something to be sniffed at. Top player, and we saw him in action in the Champions League, and we were just really treated to something of almost a bit of a taster, wasn't it? We didn't get much more than that. We'd have loved to have seen him in that last 16, because he's the sort of player that can cause some real damage.
Yeah, he did. He played some great pool, and it was week 1, I think, of that competition. He really entertained us, and it came down to 1 or 2 frames, and he was very tactically aware in that match and that night, and that's what got him through, as well as some great shot making and some great clearances. So, you know, a fantastic young player.
Well, we were speaking to Tony earlier, and he was saying he's been practicing his break in a big way. What struck me watching him practice earlier was how much cue power he gets with such an easy action. If you almost just watch him break without looking at the table, you'd think he's barely breaking them apart, but the power he generates through the pack with that almost easy, lazy sort of cue action is remarkable. All timing.
Yeah, all timing, a really nice cue action, a really lovely way to break the balls, although he didn't control the cue ball perfectly this time, and it's still a little bit unfortunate not to make a ball. Fortunately for him, Josh hasn't played the best of positional shots with that pot into the centre pocket, and I'm not sure he's got anything on now, so it's going to be a safety shot.
Yeah, frustrating start this for Josh Kane. He'll be well aware of that sort of favourite tag that he'll have been given, and he'll fully expect to win this match. But he's not started at the level we know he can.
Clever little shot there, just to make sure that he was blocking the red from going into the bottom left-hand corner, stop Tony from having much to go at at all.
Yeah, this is where you expect Josh to have the advantage, isn't it? It's this tactical plays, played at such a high level against some really high-level players that you're just expected to be his domain, his sphere, as it were. And Tony's holding his own so far, it must be said.
Could be a chance here for Tony.
Yeah, I think this red goes to the left middle, doesn't it?
Yeah, just got the cue ball a fraction too far across to the right-hand side, left this red to the left centre, and this is a chance that we know that Tony's going to be very aggressive tonight. This is a chance he's going to take on, I think. Just that one red he's coming to have a look at, and the one just to the right-hand centre pocket. Looks like there's enough room to pot it.
Yeah, we saw Tony in the Champions League, and obviously he knew he had 3 matches to play that night and almost could afford to play his way in, but just get the sense tonight he knows it's of the bottom line that he gets started straight away. The previous experience will help him. Of the big lights and the big stage, that shouldn't cause the same level of concern and fear. He'll feel primed to be able to take any chance that comes his way.
He also struck me, he's not the sort of player that's just going to write that night off, be frustrated and annoyed that he didn't manage to get through. He understood where he was and that he was a long shot being a qualifier, and actually, you know, he was going to walk away from that night and learn from the mistakes he made, and always, and you can tell when you talk to him, he's just always looking to improve his game. Not the best shot he's ever played there. He's wanting to come back just a fraction further, I think, for the thread into the left centre. Now needs to play this one quite delicately. He wants to drop it in and stay on that red to the left centre. May have to come across the table a couple of times, which is going to be tough to do.
He thought he could hold it, and that is just going to stay up. You can see he's tried to pinch as much of the pocket there with as much of the weight as he could. He's just a fraction short.
Yeah, just the subtleties of that previous positional shot, an extra inch further back, and it would have been a lot easier for him to work out that clearance. Could have left that ball that he missed till his last ball. Drop it in down the cushion with a 8-ball into the corner or the centre. Had to reroute, and that's what's forced the miss, although that's not the best first shot from Josh Kane. He hasn't quite got to grips with his cue ball so far in this match.
No, he hasn't. That is, I'd say, an understatement.
He's on this to the top left. Looks like he's going into the red, and if he is going into the red, he's got to be careful he doesn't nudge that red on top of the yellow. He wants to make sure that yellow stays in the open, which he hasn't managed to do.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
This is proving a tough night so far for Josh Kane. Struggling a little bit out there. And of course, it's all relative. He's, you know, still at the table. Let's not panic and get ahead of ourselves. But Josh knows that he is better than what he's currently producing, and that'll be a source of frustration. He's got the yellow, of course, to the bottom left. That's not a huge amount of help right now if he wants to be able to finish this frame. What's he looking at here, Si?
Well, I think he's looked to see whether he can come back through the gap he's going to have to play to be able to pot this yellow, come back through the gap, come off 2 cushions and try and go into the red and yellow. But you get into this too much and you're hitting the red. Not enough, you're hitting the 8-ball. There you go, he's hitting the red. Big odds against making that shot. But once you get that far into a finish and you're not going to make it, you feel like you're going to keep digging. Has to hit a cushion after contact as well, international 8-ball rules, so he can't just come off the top cushion and rest on this, which means he's going to move the red and open things up for Tony.
Yeah, he's trying to see if there's an angle whereby he can get the yellow somewhere near a pocket and maybe make a fluke. In the end, it's a bit of a hit and hope. And Tony Blount now surely will be winning this second frame. It's a big, big chance for the big man. It's a perfect opportunity really for Tony Blount. It's an almost unmissable clearance, this, and we talked about him being used to it and almost taking no chances tonight, but always feel like you need that frame, don't you, just to settle down, get you into the match. That's what Tony will be doing right about now. Could have left himself an easier 8-ball, admittedly, but this shouldn't be a problem. And it is one apiece, and honestly, I think it probably deserves to be so. One each after two, with half an hour left of this last 64 game in the Ultimate Pool Masters. This is Tony Blount from Crewe, the Cheshire County player, and he has won a decent amount of titles at local sort of county level, and also a Europa League champion, which is an event I believe held in this club, he was telling us, against a decent field as well. He's used to playing some top-level players, just maybe without the top-level exposure, shall we say.
Yeah, absolutely. Plays lots of pool, gets lots of experience against the top-level players. There's another thing altogether to play against them on live TV, but he's certainly capable. If you give him opportunities like Josh did in that last frame, he will take them.
That's a hammer of a break. Thought he hit his first one well, actually, Josh. He was a little bit unlucky with how the lie went, but this is... might as well chalk this one up straight away at this point. This is as good as you can hit them.
It is, and it's the perfect opportunity. Having made the mistake taking on a finish and not making it in the last frame, it's exactly what he would have wanted to get back and get going in this match. Is a nice opportunity where he can really get his Q arm going, and there's no real problems for him to worry about. Just has to work through the finish. It's almost mapped out for him already.
Yeah, that is 10 out of 10, isn't it? The dream scenario when you walk up to the table to hit a break, when you almost need one as well to get yourself into the match. You just can't wish for one better than that.
Yeah, not just the fact that he's made a ball and the yellows are good. Look at the reds.
Yeah,
the reds go out the way. It is perfect. So this is probably the only shot that's really a little bit delicate. Wants to probably hold on the yellow into the centre pocket. Yeah, no problems, and then he can just drop them in from here. Just making sure he knows what angle he wants to leave on his next yellow, because if he gets slightly off angle, he may leave himself tricky onto the black.
Shiny shoes are out for Josh Kane, good mate of John McAllister back in Coventry. Seem to share the same shoe collection.
Yeah, and I say the same thing when John turns up with shoes like that. You need to play some serious pool if you're going to wear shoes like that. I certainly couldn't get away with it.
Thankfully for the pair of them, they do tend to play some pretty serious quality pool. But, I was speaking to Josh earlier, and he said, well, obviously the last time we saw him was all the way back in the Champions League in December, wasn't it? His initial rounds, when things were very, very different, obviously, in the UK. And I've been asking him, has he managed to get much practice in? And he says, yeah, he's got access to a table, had the chance to practice with a few of the players around the Coventry scene. It's dynamite at the moment there in the West Midlands. There's some real talent in that neck of the woods at the moment. Not just the world champion John McAllister. Okay, this is what we've already had so far in the Masters. This is the first quarter of the draw done and dusted. We already have our last 16 group, and what a last 16 group this is, by the way. Jordan Shepherd will play Chris Melling, the winner of that. Will play Phil Harrison and Rob Chilton, the winner of that one. Winner of that one will go into the semi-final. Look at the players that haven't quite made it. You talk about John McAllister, he was in Group 2. Clint Ianson knocked out the first opportunity against Jordan Shepherd. It was an unbelievably tough score. Oh, golden break! Tony Blount didn't even see it go in. Amazing! Absolutely incredible. And the 8 ball is in. Tony Blount didn't even spot it. Incredible, 2 apiece.
I love that. He turned around to go and get his playing frame, so he breaks with a break cue. No idea that he'd already won the frame. And I think that's the first one we've seen in this year's competition as well.
First one of the Masters for Tony Blount. Josh Kane looking a little bit sick at that one, having just got himself well in front. Tony Blount will take that. He told us he'd been practicing the break, and well, that's gone out beautifully for him. 2 apiece.
Have to say, it was an absolute sledgehammer of a break,
Yeah,
wasn't it? He really got them. He had a lot of balls flying in, as well as the 8 ball.
Oh, and when it rains, it pours. What a chance for Tony Blount to take the lead here, because Josh has again got a beautiful contact to that break. Look at the split that Tony Blount will come to the table with here. Cue ball gone in, so it will be him at the table. And Josh knew straight away, didn't he? And that is just double jeopardy in a way. Obviously, Tony gets the golden break, and then from the next shot, Josh turns the table over, looking like this. This could, all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, go from 2-1 Josh Kane to 3-2 Tony Blount. It should do that.
Yeah, and if this yellow goes to the bottom left-hand corner, and the fact that he's played on it tells me that it does, then these are just a nice little roadmap for him, a nice little easy layout, similar to the one that Josh had on his previous break. And that break from Josh, to me, that just shows how you know, you've got such small margin of error of being out. He hit that almost perfectly, but he was just a shade off perfect contact on that front ball, and the cue ball just screwed straight up into the top corner.
Yeah, it almost feels a little bit churlish calling that user error. Of course it is, but the margins there are super, super fine. You could see the way he contacted it was great. Tony telling that cue ball to move up. He wanted to be on that yellow to the bottom right, and he's about 6 inches short, really.
Yeah, he's a decent amount short of perfect here, and he's actually on nothing. The only yellow you can see doesn't go into the centre pocket, doesn't go into the top pocket. Skill shot's not really an option. That red is so far away from the pocket, and I don't believe it's lined up nicely either. So difficult to see where he's going to try and make this yellow. Not really a double on.
Yeah, this is worst case scenario.
So he's looking at coming off one cushion into the yellow to try and make it into the bottom left. Potentially a slightly big pocket if he hits the red nearest the pocket. Half ball, it will still go in. If it's full ball contact required, then he would stay on the yellow to the top left.
Long way off. Oh, what a reprieve for Josh Kane. He'll be a relieved man coming to the table here. And this is where Josh Kane gets to almost stamp his authority on a match like this. Tony Blount gives him a chance. A player like Josh Kane doesn't tend to need more than one. It's often the thing that separates the good from the great in this game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I don't know whether Tony would look back at that visit and think, was there a better way I could go, or just execute that shot slightly better and he would have made the clearance. I just think the layout he had, having to come off the top cushion and hit okay, the margin of error was about a foot, but to try and hit that gap coming off one cushion, okay, it's a shot that can go wrong. He could have potentially found a better route that would have made it a lot more guaranteed. Difficult to say without having another look at the layout.
That's a lovely pot. It's tough cueing that. He was super careful over the bottom left pocket not to make a fabric foul, as it were, but that's a lovely bit of cueing. And now it's a good chance to go and finish this off. think he can get through to the one at the top of the table. He's having a good look, which tells me it's pretty tight.
I think the fact if he's not taking it on, then it's a reroute and he's having to go a different way. Yeah, so he may have come just a roll too far. That's okay. Not worried about trying to get too close to that red. Just wants to make sure he's got hit the gap, and then it's just a natural angle to come back round to get onto the last red.
Yeah, if he elected to go the other way and tried to track the white ball all the way at the table again, he'd have run into a similar problem to the one that he just encountered. This was much more guaranteed.
Oh, he's a touch short again. Just shows hasn't quite got the cue ball so far in this match. And this is tricky. It's potentially could still cut it. Cue ball would be absolutely flying loose if he tries to cut this in. He's very thin. Could play the double, but it's a tricky double from where he is as well. And he'd be giving the frame away if he doesn't make it.
The good news is the 8-ball goes to, I think, pretty much every pocket on the table. Just needs to make this red and give himself a shout. He's playing it safe.
That's a good shot. That is a good shot. Tony can see this yellow at the bottom of the table, but can't see much of it. He might be able to pot it. No, he couldn't see anything of it. And that's a foul. Have to hit a cushion after contact.
Time running.
Felt like Tony could have given that a little bit more attention. That was a strange shot for me.
Yeah, I was just trying to work that one out. I was trying to work out whether he was trying to hit it on the way down, because he never hit it with enough pace to get remotely close to a cushion coming off that bottom cushion, which looked like what he was trying to do. So very strange shot from Tony.
So for a 3-2 lead, Josh Kane gets it done. And we are going to go to a break. 3-2 to Josh Kane. Action continues when we come back. Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters. You join us just in time. Josh Kane goes 4-2 in France. Action continuing through the break here in Newcastle-under-Lyme, and Josh Kane made pretty heavy weather of a fairly routine clearance at one stage, and the clearance was a little bit of work, but forced himself into a couple of trickier pots than needed to be. We were just discussing during the break, weren't we, Simon, just off air, about this is a strange match in a way for Josh Kane, because he's not playing like we know he can, but it has to be tempered with that relativity, because you still don't ever think he's going to miss a ball. That raw ability is still very much there, but he's not got that uber tight control of the cue ball, which is the hallmark of what makes Josh Kane such a great player. And you said something quite interesting about it in terms of the pressure that he'll be feeling relatively as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a strange one. If he was playing one of the other two players in action tonight, Dom Cooney or Jordan Church, then he knows it's more of a 50-50 game, whereas in this match, okay, he comes into it as a heavy favourite to beat Tony, and that puts pressure on him, and perhaps a pressure that he doesn't feel that often in the pool world, you know, certainly in these elite events. And yeah, it's probably he's feeling it pressure in a slightly different way than normal. I think
yellow's the option then for Josh here.
Just going back to that previous
It's a great shot. That's a little bit better.
Yeah, just going back to that previous finish where it just showed that he's just not quite got the tight control of his cue ball. He was just making hard work of a finish that after 2-3 balls, when he's opened things up, you expect him to make the clearance, and he then makes things difficult for himself. So if he can just get hold of that cue ball, then you feel like he could go a little bit, run away with this match just a little bit more.
Yeah, he made a fantastic red. His final red was really tough, having ended up out of position, and he made it brilliantly. And I think that's what I meant when I said we've got to be wary of being too harsh on Josh here. He's still 4-2 in front. He's still, I don't think he's missed a pot from memory. I think ironically the only missed pot he's had in a sense was when he was trying to leave a ball over the pocket and it actually went in. But he's still there. He's still playing really well. He just hasn't quite got to grips with that cue ball, and at the level that he'll have to play to win tonight against either Dom or Jordan, he will need that.
Yeah, and we are being ultra critical, but you know, Josh is that sort of player that, you know, when we know that he can play better than he is playing. But you're absolutely right. You know, he hasn't made a huge amount of big errors or anything like that. When he has made a mistake, like he did in the previous frame, when not making the clearance with poor cue ball control, he didn't give it away by taking on an outrageous double or a crazy cut or anything like that. He played a very good controlled safety shot and earned the foul from Tony, and then reaped the rewards by still winning the frame. So yeah, he's certainly still playing a good match here. I think from Tony's side of the table, he's going to be really ruining that chance he had to go 3-2 in front.
Yeah, Josh frustrated again. I think he's struggling with the pace of the table. I think that's what's catching him out. He's not quite got his pacing right. His line has been pretty good in almost every instance, but his pacing hasn't quite worked it out, and he's a little bit short here of where he wanted to be. Can still recover it. That was too thin. Positionally perfect, but too thin. And Tony Blount here has the opportunity to try and turn the tables. Only thing is this is a difficult first visit to the table. I don't think he can cut the one at the top right. The only one he might be able to play is towards the bottom of the table. I think that red passes the yellow. Either the one below the black or the one by the rail, maybe, if he can get through.
It's a massive visit to the table here for Tony. I think the red in the triangle area that you mentioned, I think that does go. If he knocks this in and this camera angle shows it goes. Oh, little flick off the yellow, which he didn't want.
Yeah, because now that red is tied up. That red over on the rail doesn't go to the bottom left now. It did before. So now a little bit more work to do.
And not only that, he knocked a red onto the cushion on the right-hand side as well. And he's just knocked it back off again. But this finish is plenty of work left in it now. Red nearest the left-hand side cushion, potentially a double. Don't see him trying to move that because there's no balls near it. He's coming. It's just coming around now. Where he's looking now, he's potentially thinking about playing it off the yellow over the centre pocket.
That's not a bad shout, actually. That yellow is pretty well poised. He's playing the double early on here. Oh, he's fuming with that one. He's a mile off it. Mile off the line here, Tony Blount. And he had so much margin for error as well with that yellow being there.
Yeah, it's another chance that goes for Tony. And I often talk about it, you hear me talk about it a lot on commentary, that when you're playing top players, especially when you come in as an underdog, you really want to punish those mistakes. Your opponent makes a mistake, punish it, and make sure they know you're there and you're going to put them under pressure and make them have to play well. And so far in this match, there's a couple of chances that Tony has let get away that you feel could be the difference.
Because that's it, isn't it? If you're Tony Blount here and you get beat by Josh Kane, who plays brilliantly, you hold your hands up and you say, yeah, fair enough, he's a top player, that can happen to anyone. But Josh Kane's given him chances. Josh Kane is not at his best tonight, and that's where the what if might come in. Josh called an extension here. This white isn't where he wanted it to be. Again, another tough cut. In fact, has he played the double? Oh, he has, and he was an inch away. It's a really clever shot again, because he hasn't left anything with the white ball, but I don't think he'd have left himself a yellow either, just looking at it on second reflection. Now then, 15-second shot clock now in operation. That was the noise you heard a few moments ago.
Has to cover the yellow over the left centre pocket, and okay, he may have covered it, but I think this might be a little bit of a swerve.
It tells you it goes. Yeah, that'll do. Now, does that yellow pass the 8 ball into the middle? I think it does. This could be close, though.
Not the easiest positional shot, even if it does pass to the right centre. Difficult to land on the last yellow. May be able to screw on and off the cushion or go up to the top of the table.
Oh, that's about as close as you can get. What a shot it is. What a shot that is from Josh Kane.
Touch fortunate to come through the reds the way he did, but excellent shot, really.
An outcomes man, Simon. That's as good as it gets. That was brilliant. great pot under immense time pressure, and this will almost get Josh Kane over the line, you feel. Oh, that wiped its feet. That one wiped its feet, goodness me. It is 5-2. 8 minutes left, Josh Kane is almost there. But my goodness me, that was tight. Okay, this is the situation as we have it currently in the second quarter of the Ultimate Pool Masters draw. This is what we're looking at. Sam Bircher and Carl Sutton are the two men that have made it through so far. Next week, we've got Declan Brennan and Early Bale to look forward to. That'll be a great game. Brennan versus the Bullets. And then Craig Lakin takes on Chris Patient in the other side of that one to play the winner. And all of a sudden, this tournament just continues to rumble on, and you just keep looking at the last 16 draw and fantasizing about the knockout matches will have to come the end of the pool play.
Tournament is so deep, you can't help but look at all the different routes and different situations that could unfold if he wins, and so on and so forth. And yeah, it is going to unfold into be a fascinating last 16 draw, whatever happens.
Oh, it's going to be amazing, isn't it? We haven't even looked at the third quarter or the fourth quarter yet, and if you haven't seen that, ladies and gents, well, we're in for a treat.
Well, just looking at this match, it's now or never, you feel, for Tony. This opportunity, that was an excellent break from him, and it's a great opportunity for a break dish to get back to just 2 behind.
Yeah, needs this. He wanted that to roll, maybe a ball further. I think he's still through. It might have to play cushion first. He's okay. He's not on the yellow at the top of the table, though, which is what he wanted to be. And now he's chasing.
Yeah, the problem with having to play cushion first meant he couldn't hold for that yellow at the top of the table. So, as you say, chasing is definitely the word.
Right, that's not a bad little outcome. Can probably land on the ball at the top of the table now. Uses the red to hold it. That's a lovely shot. Now, can he get to that yellow on the rail, or does he settle for the double?
I don't think he can do much more than the double. He may be able to force it across. He can force it across. I didn't think he had that much angle.
What a shot that is.
Excellent.
Now then, he looks almost too straight on this to do anything with the 8 ball. He's made such a good shot, but be touch annoyed even so. Might have to pinch this a little bit. He's driven it in, and I think he's got a shot. I think this passes.
It looks awfully tight. It really does. It's not the full pocket.
Oh, what a good clearance, Tony Blount. That was brilliant. Really, really impressive clearance, this. Let's have a watch how tight this was. Yeah, there wasn't much room.
How many times have we seen that now, that once the player that's been struggling a little bit out there gets to that last 10 minutes of the match where the clock comes shorter, all of a sudden they free up and they make a great clearance. No longer the time to overthink things and worry about what's gone before. All you can do is just almost play on instinct and try and fly through it, and that not often brings out good finishes from them.
I think it may well help Josh Kane too in his next opportunity. We've not really seen him in full flow with this shot clock yet. We have seen that so far, that if you haven't quite found your rhythm, you're almost overthinking yourself. Is he going to make a ball? Is Tony Blount about to start an assault on the summit here with a crazy comeback? There's plenty of time left. These reds all go.
Yeah, just looking at these reds, first glance, this looks a pretty good layout for him. Every ball actually has a fairly comfortable pocket and a fairly comfortable route to get to that pocket.
Oh. Oh, that was a really surprising miss. Let's have another watch of this. Oh, it jawed. I looked away for half a second. I thought it actually somehow bounced out of the pocket, but yeah, he just clipped the near jaw.
He may have just been trying to pinch the pocket to get the cannon on the red in the middle of the table, to hold on the red to the bottom right. Didn't need to, but that may have been the reason for the miss.
And now we do get to see Josh Kane in full flight, and this is where you back him at this stage. His big issue is the red over the bottom left, because he'd love to have that clear, and this would be a gimme of a clearance, but this will require a little bit of clever routing. The right sensor will be used heavily.
I think the good news for him is that he's moved the 8 ball far enough left that he can use that red over the pocket and actually play cushion first. If it doesn't go direct, he can play cushion into the red and make the 8 ball fairly comfortably. So that cannon he played a couple of shots ago has worked out for him.
This, he feels, the key shot. He wants really good white here on this final yellow. And there is an element of jeopardy with the red just to the left of the cue ball now. That could be a blocker if he gets it wrong. And that's about perfect. Just wonder if he's starting to feel the pace of the table now, because that was one shot that required total precision. So little margin for error there. And he's left the white ball perfect.
Made that positional shot look easy, and it wasn't so easy, especially from what we've seen from him so far in this match, to over-under hit the shot.
Nicely done. 6-3 Josh Kane. A little bit more like it from him. Superb counter clearance. Tony Blount has had his chances. Will be an element of what if.
Every time he's had a chance to really put the pressure on Josh Kane, he's made a mistake that will really frustrate him. You know, it's really fine margins. You know, it's been 2 or 3 missed pots, a couple of positional errors, but that's it, and that's the difference so far. When Josh has made mistakes, he hasn't been punished. When Tony has, he has.
Number 10, Tony Blount to break. Tony on 6 frames to 3.
God blimey. That's a hit.
It's incredible the amount of power he can generate with that break. It really is.
It's all timing as well. It really is just all timing. I think Tony Blount just offered to concede the frame there, but I don't think he has the ability to. I think that's what just happened. I highly doubt he's conceding the match. He just tried to concede the frame, but that would be too big an advantage. That's not allowed. Josh Kane gets to play this out.
We have seen that in shootout pool, a rule that was brought in to allow players in this sort of situation to concede frames. Even in this sort of situation, it looks silly to concede a frame this early, but when you consider if you expect your opponent to clear up, you're going to need that time on the clock to potentially try and get that frame back. Not easy still for Josh, and there is still enough time on the clock for Tony, just about. So key couple of shots. Well, I love the cue ball an extra couple of rolls further up the table actually, and a couple of inches in from the side cushion, but he should still just have the angle he needs to get to the middle of the table. Not quite. Has to avoid the reds.
Yeah, this is laced with danger. Oh, we could just hold it. So he didn't have to go in and out. Mace will all but do it, really.
Yeah, amazing how much of the pocket he was able to pinch there. That was about as much as you possibly could.
Well, that's pretty good from Josh Kane, isn't he? He's just starting to get to grips, you feel, warming up.
Yeah, he's played better and better as the match has gone on. Probably shows that once he's managed to get himself that 2 frames in front, he's played his best pool of the match, and just shows once the pressure starts to come off, once he feels like he's got control in the match, then he can relax and just play his normal game. It's
been a decent performance in the end from Josh Kane. He's had to battle.
Yeah, I think for me the biggest thing for Josh is the fact that even when he was struggling with the cue ball earlier on in the match, he wasn't just giving frames away. He was still
stayed in them.
He was stayed in them. He was finding a way to play that safety shot when he'd made the mistake of not clearing up.
Chance to free the cue arm a little bit. One thing you would say about Josh Kane is he has broken brilliantly. Both players have. Really have broken so well.
With a minute and a half left on the clock, and this split, Josh has got a great opportunity to get to 8 rather than allowing the clock to run down. No real problems here. There's enough room to get to the red on the right-hand side. Well, there was. There may not be now. I think he's forced into a safety shot, but he's done enough. 4 frames, minute left on the clock. And he's just going to let that clock run down, used his extension as well. Playing it ultra safe.
Yeah, no need to do anything too silly. Oh, nearly a ludicrous fluke, which you absolutely love to see. Where Josh Kane may be able to wrap things up here in the final 18 seconds. He doesn't have to. Did he pass that yellow? No. So he's just going to let the clock roll out. That is his one. And that will do it. Josh Kane is into tonight's final. He will play one of Jordan Church and Dom Cooney. Respect shown from Tony Blount there. He's a big fan of the work that Josh Kane does. He's a pool player. Is Tony Blount. He's a big fan of the game, and he knows how good Josh Kane was, how big a challenge this was, and in the end, it's a pretty clinical job from Josh Kane.
It is, and I look back to that frame where you feel like Tony should have gone 3-2 up. He had a great chance to go 3-2 up on the back of the golden break. He didn't take it, and from there, more mistakes followed from Tony, and Josh seemed to pick up a bit more momentum and actually started to play his best ball from there. So I think Tony will look back to that one chance that he had and be a bit frustrated with it. But it was a very good, solid performance in the end. As critical as we were of Josh at times, we were just being ultra critical because he did play a very good match.
Yeah, he absolutely did, and he's into tonight's final where he will have to be at his best because he will face either of the players in our next match. That's Dom Cooney against Jordan Church. Cannot wait for this one. It's live when we return. Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. A super first match. It means we do have one of our finalists tonight booked in. That is Josh Kane. He will face either of one of the players in our second match. And trust me when we tell you, this one will be a belter. Oh, what a matchup this could be. Dom Cooney versus Jordan Church. Two players with fantastic pedigree. Two players who know all about getting to the business end of top quality competitions. So I'm really looking forward to this one. This is the match that on paper looks to be very close. It's difficult to call. Maybe not might go as far as say a coin flip, but it's not far off, is it? Two quality operators here. Yeah,
that's the way I see it. It's tough to pick a winner in this match. It really is. The bookies have Jordan Church as the favourite for the match. They actually have Jordan as a slight favourite for the whole night.
Oh wow! But look at how that break's come out. Just sorry to interrupt. This is absolutely ridiculous. If he's tucked the red in behind the, in front of the white here, this would be a really difficult opening shot for Jordan Church.
I think there's more room there than it looks. Gone for the double. He's not made it. But yeah, just going back, I think, I see this as a little more than a coin flip, which player gets the most opportunities. I will say, if this goes tight all the way through, then I would give Jordan Church the edge into the final 10 minutes of the match. Jordan is up there as one of the quickest players in the world. Plays at the sort of 15 seconds a shot naturally, doesn't need to adjust his playing too much for it. And I think Dom will openly admit that he's not as comfortable when the clock gets that quick.
Yeah, he's no fear Jordan Church. That's his nickname. That's what he's got on his lovely top. But he also goes by a secondary nickname of Flash, which I feel actually is probably more apt for his play style. Does prefer to play very, very quick. Has that wonderful eye for the game. That means he really you feel like he barely lines shots up. He just has that natural touch and feel. And it's infuriating to watch at times because he is one of those players that does make the game look so freakishly easy.
Yeah, and he's one of my favourite players to watch, actually. And it's probably not great to say this, but actually when Jordan gets annoyed, when he gets behind, he goes even quicker and plays just on complete free roll, almost not looking at anything, or it looks like he's not looking at anything. So Jordan Church, when he's on tilt, is incredible to watch. But you know, it's he's such a nice guy. You don't want him to get there to see it.
Dom Cooney, meanwhile, at the table at the moment, has got some serious pedigree. He was in the last World Final of the WEPF against Michael Hill. Lost that one, as most people do in World Finals, to Michael Hill. But got there as a qualifier, which meant he had to face some runs to get to the final of that competition. No seed protection for him. And it just elevated him to a status within the game of a lot of respect. He's still really young, Dom Cooney. He's a lot of years ahead of him in the game. Man from Huntingdon.
Yeah, if you're capable of making world finals, then you're capable of going all the way in any competition you ever play in. Okay, he came up a little bit short in that world final, but you know, he was playing one of the greatest to ever do it. You know, 6 times champion in Michael Hill.
Yeah, it's only been one man who's taken that title off him in the last 6 years period, Sean Chipperfield, but every other one has gone the way of Hill, and it's absolutely no disgrace to lose that. But just showed that Dom Cooney in that sort of time was close to pushing the really, really upper echelons of the sport, really. He's still young, and he's looking to have a run in this competition and go quite deep as well. He's taken these out beautifully. Looks right on it from the get-go here, Dom Cooney.
Looked like he'd potted himself into a little bit of trouble after 2-3 shots, nudged a couple awkward, but he's worked out the route to this point beautifully from there.
Yeah, hasn't he just? Brilliant clearance from Dom the Dominator. 1-zip. Well, here he is. We talked about that World Championships runner-up. He's also the Under-23 national champion back in 2017. Just shows how young he is, the fact that in 2017 he was still a junior in the sport relatively. He also won the Golden Q singles title in 2017 as well, which is a really good standard of competition to win.
I have to say, looking at that profile there, look at the odds to qualify.
Remarkable.
8-1, I think, is the most remarkable price I've seen on any player so far in the 7 weeks we've had here on Free Sports. I find it incredible, because for me, the difference between Dom, Jordan and Josh, you know, absolutely Tony outsider for the group.
Oh, where's the 8-ball? Oh, that was tracking.
But
it's a great break that from Jordan. Sorry.
Yeah, just going to say the difference in the other 3 is very, very fine. So 8-1, massive price, but yeah, I thought for a second that 8-ball was tracking as well.
Yeah, I dare say there's quite a few people at home really hoping that Dom Cooney picks up the win. But, oh, that's a surprising miss from Jordan Church. That's not what you expect. That is a... Well, for a man of Jordan's standards, that's a sitter.
Yeah, slightly awkward queuing across the centre pocket, but I have to say, once that cue board stayed on the table and the 8-ball had stayed on the table, I was fully expecting a very, very quick break and dish there from Jordan Church. And instead, it's going to be a very, very quick counter clearance here from Dom Cooney, because it's laid out perfectly for it.
Yeah, really surprising miss from No Fear Jordan Church. Dom is something of a steady Eddie. His play style is just super consistent. There's not too many flourishes or fancy touches. He is just bulletproof percentage pool. Does it very, very well.
Yeah, and you know, he's taking the time here. He knows what he wants to do here. He's just finished slightly off angle, but he knows he's just going to drop this in. He's not going to do too much. He's not going to throw this round the table. Just leave himself an angle up to the top end of the table. 8-ball close enough to the left centre pocket that he's got a wide margin of error onto that 8-ball.
Good to see Tony Blount in the crowd. Can't believe I can say that now. Good to see him sticking around to watch. As I mentioned towards the end of that game, he's a proper aficionado of the sport. He absolutely loves pool and loves watching the best play. And make no mistake, Dom Cooney and Jordan Church certainly among those in that bracket.
Also does a lot for the organisation of pool as well, especially in his area and crew.
Yeah, I think he's got his own promotion, doesn't he, that he helps run. Yeah, loves the game. And sad to see him exit, but good to see him cheering on from the sidelines nevertheless. This is the key pot for Dom Cooney. Gets this right, frames his. And he hasn't. Did everything right until that moment. And now Jordan Church should come in and do the sweep-up job.
He's taken a long time to sort of have a think about that pot. He left himself awkward angle on the previous red and knew he was going to leave it awkward. He took his time on that previous shot to leave it and then took his time to play that, and it's almost like he'd built it up to be more than it probably was. And he was actually, for a player of Dom's ability, he was quite a long way away from it.
Yeah, it wasn't as glaring a miss as certainly as Jordan's in the opening stage to this frame, but it was one that at the very least, you expect him to go much closer.
And we talked about it in the previous match, that punishing mistakes, when these top players make mistakes, you need to step in and punish it, and it's what Tony wasn't able to do in his match, and Dom wasn't able to do it in that frame there.
Well, Jordan ran slightly out of position there, and rather than chase it unnecessarily, he had the perfect opportunity to put Dom Cooney in a really tough snooker here. And if he can't get out of it, well, Jordan Church will be in prime position because he has cue ball in hand. And he's back in prime position. That was the percentage play from Jordan Church, and he played it well. Dom Cooney could do precious little with that.
And it wasn't just getting the snooker and coming back to another opportunity. It was also developing that ball that was on the left-hand side cushion, just making it easier. Now a nice drop in into the centre pocket, whereas he'd had to play good position to land on it down the rail. He's going to take the 8-ball to the top corner because he left himself a slightly bad angle on that yellow. But no mistakes this time. Missed a simple pot earlier on in the frame, but punishes that mistake from Dom Cooney, and we are all square when Dom will probably be sat in his chair feeling like it should have been 2-0. Well, Stephen Jameson has just popped out the commentary box to go and get a few words with the winner of our first match, Josh Kane.
Yeah, I certainly have, Josh. Congratulations on the win. A bit of a relief, I feel, out there. It looked like it was difficult at times for you.
Yeah, it was a struggle at the start. Got off to a bad start, really. I think maybe trying to be a bit too cautious, so I'm going to take that on board with my next match and just try and play my natural game and maybe speed things up a little bit.
Yeah, we talked about that actually in the commentary with the shot clock obviously being much longer in this format. Did you feel that almost it gave you too many options? You're almost overthinking it.
Yeah, I thought about it after the match, and I just spoke to my dad there, and he said he thinks I was being a bit too slow. He said I've played my better pool when the actual 15-second shot clock, so I'll take that on board and take it into my next match. Hopefully play a bit better, because I'll need to against either Dom or Jordan, I think, to get through. Yeah, we were talking on commentary as well. It's very easy to be hard on yourself, but still very good elements within that match. Yeah. Some beautiful pots, some lovely finishes, and you were breaking a dream as well. Yeah, I was breaking really well. I've been breaking well. Well, last time I played on that table, I broke really well. So I've been playing well as well, so I'm definitely confident. It's just putting it all together, I suppose. What do you make of the match that's currently out on the table at the moment? Two great players, eh? Yeah, two great players. Didn't expect that miss from Jordan, but everyone's human, so maybe a few early nerves like I've shown, I think. Well, we can't wait to watch you in tonight's final, that's for sure. Best of luck. Cheers, Steve. Back to you, Si.
Yeah, I expect to see Josh just continue in that final, perhaps play a little bit better as well.
Yellow ball's in play.
Clever shot from Dom there. Seemed a big break, but not the best split, considering how big a break that Dom made there, but clever to make that yellow in the centre pocket. You have to go for the colour set you play for, but you can play the shot in the way that Dom did.
Interesting to hear that Josh Kane, like many people, gets the best advice from their fathers. It's always available, isn't it, that fatherly advice? And for my money, it was exactly the same advice as we were thinking, wasn't it? It was amazing, the difference in sort of confidence and authority when Josh Kane just stopped thinking about it too much. You can cause yourself problems. I know that's something you always tell me you had a problem with as a player, that you see so many angles, you actually end up having an internal debate within yourself and actually talking yourself out of positions that you shouldn't really do so.
Yeah, you got 45 seconds and you end up using them. You kind of, you know what you're going to do straight away. I think we saw Dom do it in that second frame there. He had 45 seconds on the simple shot into the middle, where he would have known in the first 2-3 seconds exactly what he was going to do, and then he took another 45 seconds to take on that pot to the top left. Although it was difficult, it was one that if he got down quickly without overthinking it, I would have expected him to pot. So yeah, it does happen, and sometimes you just need to play on your natural instincts, and sometimes you do need that extra bit of time to work things out. And Dom has got himself into a little bit of bother here.
Yeah, the yellow just glued to the red in the middle of the table. It's a big problem for him. And it's a fairly difficult one to solve, actually. His previous shot managed to work the cue ball into that area, but it wasn't the cannon he was looking for. What can he do off this one? He is just going to play safe. Just get the sense that both these players have been quite a cagey opening. They've both missed a couple of pots they'd expect to make. Just get the sense that both players, when they come to the table in a position like this, are really trying not to lose the game. Because Dom Cooney, if he goes for that, he could well take out that finish. Odds against, but he's perfectly capable of doing so. He's got great ability. But if he doesn't, he hands Jordan the frame. At least with this instance, Jordan has to do a little bit of work.
Yeah, I guess you have to make a decision at some point. The further you keep going and the further you get without making the clearance, the less likely you are to win the frame, the more you're going to make it easy for your opponent. And I think when you've still got 3 balls on the table, okay, your opponent's got 7, you've still got a chance to sort of win a tactical battle or to earn a better opportunity to win the frame. He did the right thing in terms of not leaving Jordan a pot to go at. He would have preferred his yellow to go a little bit more over the pocket. Not absolutely over it, but closer to make it more potable from much more areas of the table.
I think Dom was trying to play into the line of the red and the yellow there. Because if he wasn't, it's a little bit of a nothing shot, and I don't think that's what he was playing. Just wonder if Jordan fancies this, because he's got an easy route into that problem area. The red just below them is going to cause a simple cannon. He should be able to play it here if he's got a bit of an angle into the middle pocket. I think he's just about got enough.
Yeah, I agree with you. That shot from Dom was a bit of a nothing shot in terms of the way he played it. I assume that red can't go because you're leaving Jordan an opportunity, and you expect Jordan to go for these. Those two reds do plant into the right centre, I believe, so it's only one ball to work out.
Yeah, and that's the finish that we were expecting Jordan to take. Can only assume that Dom was trying to play quite aggressive and work into that red and yellow and leave the cue ball somewhere safe down the bottom cushion, but got his line all wrong.
Well, looking at that overhead, maybe the two reds don't plant into the centre pocket, but main camera angle makes me feel like it does. Well, the fact he's played into them tells me that they didn't. That's an excellent shot.
Really, really good shot, that.
It's really good, not just the fact that he's made the cannon, but it's so easy when you get that cannon for the cue ball to go into the centre pocket. You catch that a fraction lower and you come off that red and you're going to pop the cue ball and hand the frame away. So excellent control from Jordan.
Yeah, he's a top cue artist, Jordan Church. Really has got so much ability.
Needed another little bump into that red. It was still welded to the jaw, so probably wasn't potable from where it was. So this finish has taken three really nice controlled cannons.
Yeah, that was beautifully played from Jordan Church. It really was. Super. And here he is, no fear, Jordan Church, a World Masters runner-up, the 33-year-old from Raynham down in Kent. He's a two-time junior world champion back in 2005-6, I think that was, as well as a UK Open winner. And that UK Open was actually just before lockdown last year. I think he won the last sort of major black ball event, and just starting to heat up, wasn't he, Jordan Church? And then obviously had the year off like everyone else. He's itching to get back into it. And talk about him being a great cue artist. His interesting fact, as he puts it to us, is the luck of 147 attempts. This was a story he was telling you earlier. And I didn't believe it until I heard it from the horse's mouth, and an incredible story.
Yeah, it doesn't sound real or right, but three times in a week he missed the yellow on a 147. Once right-handed, once left-handed, and once with the rest. I mean, 3 times in a week. That is incredible.
And he has got that double-handed ability. Does know how to swing a cue left-handed. It's not often you'll see the need for it on a 7x4 table, purely because you can usually get across on your main cue. But it's not too often we see the rest being used, never mind your opposite hands.
And the first question I asked when I spoke to him about that was, well, have you ever made a 147? Because it would be worse if you haven't. And he hasn't made one in a competitive match, but he has made practice maximums.
Yeah, what I loved about that was he said they didn't count.
They do to me. They absolutely do.
I think they do to most people. That is a very, very high bar, he said himself there.
Slightly awkward positional shot off this first pot.
Extension pull.
It's difficult to tell from this main camera angle whether either of those other yellows go in the centre. They might be blocking each other. One does, I think, but it's difficult to hold for it, which is why he's trying to really jack the cue up. And he's caused him to miss.
And that's run horrible as well for both players, where that yellow's ended up.
He was actually playing for a yellow into the top pocket and couldn't hold for it in the centre at all. I'm surprised he's missed that. Okay, I know he's raising the butt of the cue and having to really dig down on it, but it's still a surprising miss. I think both the missed pots we've seen from Jordan have been so far.
Yeah, agreed. And I think Josh mentioned it in his interview. I think the only thing you can really put that down to in the early stages especially is a little bit of nerves. And that's understandable. It's a big stage out there at the moment. Dom can just trickle that past. That'll drop.
Good angle as well on this yellow to the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah.
Developed the only bad ball. Not guaranteed to be on the next yellow, but the odds are absolutely in his favour to be on the next yellow when he makes this cannon.
It's a lovely shot, that, actually, because he's made a fairly difficult pot, and he's also left the white absolutely plumb here. He's just lining it up, trying to see and try and plot the outcome as best he can for a 3-ball cannon, which is probably likely to be.
He could play this one controlled and just go into it enough to move the yellow over the centre pocket and stay on the one to the opposite middle pocket, or he could go into it with a little bit more pace. If he goes into it controlled, then he needs to get the cannon absolutely perfect.
It's not perfect, but it's not bad. He can play on this, I think. I think that yellow now goes to left centre.
If there's enough room between them now, he'd play it now, but I think they're a little bit too close together, so he may have to come back for it.
Yeah, and he's got the angle to be able to do that on this yellow to the right middle.
Yes,
Play in and out of the triangle area and come back to it. Wants to be pretty close to it, though. Wasn't too far away being perfect, because he doesn't want to be too far away from this. It's tight.
Not the best angle, because he has to play this with pace. If he drops this in, the red's going to stop him being on the yellow to the top right, so he has to play it with enough pace to come on and off the cushion and either bump into the red if the angle's there or go past the red. He would rather have been an extra foot to the left-hand side, so he could just drop it in and the cue ball can just drift past the red without any problems at all.
Yeah, this is fraught with danger. You see in the back of the shot there, Josh Kane casting his eyes on this match. He plays the winner. This is the key shot. Is he on the next yellow? I don't think he is, no. Tried
to play it slowly with lots of right-hand side, so when it hit that cushion, it spun up the table, so he was going to clear the red that way, rather than playing it with any pace to come on and off the cushion and bump into the red. And he had a lot of side on it.
Trouble now.
Yeah, he had a lot of side on it, and he still didn't get anywhere near, really.
The only thing I can think he can play is off this bottom cushion and try and hit the angle to maybe still pot it in one of the top two pockets. I don't think he's got much else to really have a swing at.
Has to hit it fairly firm anyway to hit a cushion.
Can he strike gold? Well, nearly did in the end, but it is a foul, having hit the 8-ball first, and that should turn the frame over to Jordan. These frames have been on a knife edge, Simon. You know, Jordan's got a chance here to make this 3-1, and it really could be. It could easily be 3-1 Dom. It could easily be 2-2. There's been absolutely nothing really to separate them so far, apart from maybe that opening frame where Dom looked brilliant. Great control clearance. Since then, it's been a bit scrappy.
Yeah, I think both playing a little bit edgy out there. Both these reds go to the top right-hand corner, but they also play as a plant to the right centre, which keeps everything nice and easy. Slightly overscrewed it, but nothing to really worry about. That's not good, though.
Yeah, worry about it now, eh?
Yeah, overscrewing that previous shot just meant he had to move that cue ball a lot further than he wanted, and all of a sudden he's in trouble. He should still take this on. He might be taking a double on here. He is.
Tell you what. Tell you what, that's some shot.
A lot of people will be looking at that going, why not take it onto the top left? But if he takes it onto the top left and he doesn't make it, it gives the frame away.
Oh, he may well still have given the frame away. Would you believe it? We've done all the hard work with that absolutely brilliant shot. With the full table double, he's absolutely thrown this frame away. Well, we'll take another look at that in a moment. Crazy ending to the frame. A steal for Dom Cooney. 2-2. Let's have another watch. This shot is brilliant. absolutely superb, judged to perfection. And this 8-ball goes without touching the yellow, I'm almost certain. But the way he's played that, it's almost like he's hit it deliberately into the yellow.
Yeah, I thought that at the time. I was like, he's played it off the yellow absolutely on purpose, feeling like it's a bigger pocket than going direct, and just got it wrong. If that yellow wasn't there, he would have just taken it on normally, and you'd be so shocked if he missed it. So, be interesting to know whether he'd do the same thing again if he was in that situation. It seems an unnecessary risk. But well, we talked about not punishing mistakes. Well, that's both of them have given up a good 2 or 3 chances already in the 4 frames we've seen. You feel the player that can just find their game first here could just walk away with it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really unlucky not to make a ball there, isn't he, Dom? So unlucky.
In a very strange way, I think both players will be really happy to be 2-2. Okay, I know Jordan will be sat there thinking he should be 3-1.
I know exactly what you mean, yeah.
But he knows he's probably, you know, he hasn't played the 3-1 level so far. Difficult table because the red and yellow there at the top left. International 8-ball rules, you have to pot the colour you're going for, so he can't play the yellow to go reds. He may play a skill shot here, try and make both balls, and then he would be yellows. Yes, he's now yellows. Still not an easy layout, which is why he's played that safety. I think both yellows at the bottom of the table have problems, or at least one of them has. I think the one nearest the right centre pocket wouldn't be a problem on yellows. There's enough room to be able to pop that off the jaw. Turns away in disgust with that shot. I think he was trying to go by that red and actually pocket the one that's over the pocket. Which is what I think Dom will probably do here. Well, that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to flick off that red, pop the yellow that's over the pocket, and leave Jordan nothing to go at all.
Well, you mentioned at the start of the match that Jordan Church, when things are going against him and he plays, in your words, on tilt, is one of the most fun players to watch. I don't think you're far off getting that player right now. He's frustrated.
Yeah, if he goes a couple of frames down, having made the mistakes he's made, I think we may well see that happen. Commentating on him in a big final against Mark Boyle, I think it was, and Mark was 6-0 up in a race to 7, and Jordan hadn't touched the table and got ultra frustrated and cleared up back-to-back clearances in about 1:30, including racking the balls. That's what happens when he's on tilt. Okay, good cannon this time, but the shot he played last visit to the table where he didn't get the yellow nearest the bottom left over the pocket, he got it above the red. That's going to be his problem he needs to solve if he wants to clear up here. Excellent shot again to make that cannon. Just wondering if the yellow in the triangle area can be made off the red just to move that away from the pocket. It doesn't look ideal. You'd want the yellow almost to be a little bit further down the table, probably another foot further down the table. We may still just be able to do it. I was able to screw straight into it. Excellent. Always feel that's dangerous on pool tables, playing into the middle when they're that close with that much pace, but he's done it excellently. But then misses the double.
Feels like a tough night out there for both players at the moment. Neither one can get themselves going. You just get the sense if one can, they'll probably drag the other with them. It's got the feel of that sort of match. It happens a lot more than is sensible, really.
Not the perfect positional shot onto this red, but it's still comfortable enough pot, and these are laid out really nicely. All the yellows are out the way. Even the red into the right centre, you would expect him to land nicely behind. Overhit another positional shot, so may have to play that one in the centre now. Could still cut either of the other two, but the cue ball running a little bit more loose. No, he's okay.
Shouldn't be any problems from here. You certainly wouldn't expect so, but in this match it's almost expect the unexpected. Both players have made very uncharacteristic mistakes. But that's on the money from Don Cooney. He's going to take a lead in this match at 3 frames to 2. 20 minutes left. Absolutely anybody's game. Who have you got? We'll find out who the winner is very, very shortly. We're going to take a quick break. Do stay with us. Winner of this match plays Josh Kane when we come back. Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters. Dom Cooney 4-2 up. We'll show you what happened in the frame that he missed whilst we were at break in a moment. Jordan Church's struggles continued. Safe to say. Great clearance. Looked all the way that it was going to be Jordan Church's frame. He left himself slightly hampered on the 8 ball. This is the shot that killed him. It was absolutely perfect, and then all of a sudden half a roll short. Could just get through to the 8 ball here. Just had to swerve it. Got it ever so slightly wrong. Don came in and cleared up, and there was visible signs of frustration for No Fear. Don Cooney left with the simple task of mopping up, and he's now, you'd say, big favourite, especially if you can go 3 frames up here. Having said that, I just can't help but think a 15-second shot clock might influence this match quite profoundly.
Yeah, I feel like this is a very big moment in this match, and Dom's just run into a little bit of trouble here. He's not on this red at the top of the table. Was trying to hold the cue ball, but in hindsight may have been better to bump into it, catch it half ball, knock it on. If he doesn't manage to clear up here, Jordan comes to the table and gets back to just 1 behind, he may start to think about or forget about the mistakes he's just made.
Bench and call.
Can't do a huge amount with that ball at the top of the table from where he is now, and it looks too hampered queuing. Can he get to the centre of the white to be able to bring it back? Even if he got to the centre pocket area, he'd still have a shot on this red. No, you could see he had so much side on that ball that he didn't want because he couldn't get to the centre of the cue ball. So a let off here for Jordan.
Yeah,
Church.
massively. A massive let off. This could be a massive frame to win. It really could. It's the difference between 3 frames behind or 1 frame behind, and that is a big change. Potentially in the mindset of Jordan Church.
Especially as we're going into the part of the match that we think will favour Jordan.
Yeah. See here, he's not afraid to play quick. Talks about the start of the match how when he does play it a real click, he does make the game so simple, and you can see he's playing himself here. He's really battling. Things aren't going how they usually do. Balls aren't finding the middle of pockets when he's expecting them to. And he's battling here, but he's still in it. Jordan Church, 4-3. Talked about the draw earlier. This is what we can expect in the second half of the draw. It's not too far away now. What a group 9 is. That's in a few weeks. Simon Fitzsimmons, Mike King is a great opener in that one. Group 10 should be great fun. Lee Kendall against Gav Robinson, Ronan McCarthy, Emma Cunningham. Then how about the young shot snooker sensation, Ryan Davies? He's up against a former world finalist in Craig Waddingham. Sean Story has a good game there against Jake Dillon Newlove too. And Aaron Davies, Shane Thompson, Zach Shepherd, John Chambers. Davies Thompson will be a great first round encounter. So many good games still to come. Non-stop top quality pool every single Monday. Apart from next week when we're on Friday. Simon's furiously shaking his head to my left. More about that a little bit later. We've got a match to finish, 2 matches to finish before we get to that.
Neither player's been able to really get to grips and take out these first visit chances they've been getting.
Yeah, apart from the first frame of the match.
Yeah, that was the best finish we've seen in the match from Dom.
And you'd have thought, if anything, that would really settle Dom down, but neither player has settled into this game at all. Neither's look comfortable. Both look like they're not only playing against the opposition, but they're also playing against themselves at times, particularly Jordan. And it's tough, isn't it, when that is the situation? I know you've been there yourself at times. Got the sarcastic tap of the table there from Jordan Church, and it's tough. This is a difficult situation because whilst he's still at the table, he's still got chances. When you feel like you're playing badly and you're not where you should be, it's difficult to drag yourself out of that mindset, isn't it?
It is, and this is where sports psychology comes into it. And the things like the last clearance he made, the counter clearance in that previous frame, he nearly missed that ball down the rail, and you saw him shaking his head. So rather than sitting in your chair thinking about, the fact that you've just won a frame back, you've stolen that frame, you're thinking about the ball you almost missed, and you're feeling a little bit relieved more than anything else. And you have to kind of turn those negatives into a bit more of a positive. For me, it's actually something we saw Josh do so well in that previous match early on when he was struggling with his cue ball control. He never looked like he was getting frustrated with it. He looked, he was always just, okay, let's play a good safety shot and get back into it.
Oh, where's the cue ball? Oh, he's all right. This is now a big shot. Not the easiest cueing. Seems to have found a way to go about it. Made it look easy enough. 4-all. 9 minutes left. The 15-second shot clock now is in operation. Not got long left in this one. Still so much to play for. Talking about so much to play for. How about quarter 4? What a draw this is. Group 14, Mum and She takes on the recent World Cup finalist in the 9-ball, Carl Boys. On the other side of that one, Scott Gillespie, John Rowe. Is a brilliant battle. Might tie the rounds in Group 15. Michael Hill against Sean Chipperfield, a rerun of the World Final from a few years ago. And we've got Amin Abu Neef on the other side of that one, up against the Soul Man, John Sullivan. Blyden De Bono still to come, as well as Jimmy Croxton, Sean Sharkey. Wherever you look, top quality. Every single week. Relentless. That's what we love. You can catch every single ball live on Free Sports. That is a much better break if you're Dom Cooney right now.
Yeah, plenty of movement on the 8-ball as well, this time straight up the centre of the table. We did see our first golden break of the competition in that previous match. And although he's hit a massive break here, he won't be thrilled because it's not come out overly kind. Looks like he wants reds. Okay, Reds are...
Not a terrible result off that shot, actually. Not much of a cannon, but it's actually come out okay. He's just nudged that red enough. He's knocked that yellow safe, so he has access to this red at the bottom left. This isn't now a bad chance if he can get up to the top of the table, which he can. Needs that to slow down a little bit, though.
Still has the one to the bottom right. And then from this shot, he needs the perfect position. If he lands perfect here, he can work these last 3 out, and that's about as good as he can do. I think the red, actually, the one that's furthest left, I think that goes to the top left, which really helps him. And the other one does go into the right centre.
Yeah, he spoke to us earlier, Dom Cooney, and he said a 15-second shot clock doesn't particularly suit him. But we also saw him complete a speed pool challenge, which showed us that he can play at a pace if he needs to, and do it pretty well. Ultimately, I think it just tends to be a habit thing. Most players are pretty much equal when it comes to seeing a line and playing the shot as quick as you like, really. Just all comes down to what makes you feel comfortable as opposed to what you can actually do. Most players can play quick, but it doesn't really make them feel comfortable. They prefer having that control. Some players don't need that almost reassurance.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think every player has a speed that they're comfortable with, and sometimes, you know, this 15 seconds will take you out of that comfort zone. But that doesn't mean he's not seeing the shots quickly, or sometimes some players like to just walk around and double check it and check angles and so on and so forth. And sometimes you get layouts that do require lots of thought, and sometimes you don't. I have to say that was a great finish from Dom Cooney, because that wasn't the easiest layout to go for. The first 2-3 shots really opened things up, and once he got that perfect position in that little triangle of 3, no mistakes.
Dry, and that could be a big problem, because that's a good split. Dom Cooney's eyes lighting up as he approaches this table. You never ever want to be chasing in this final 10 minutes, even though the clock means comebacks are possible. It just feels so difficult. Always want that comfort of having a lead, of having a cushion. Dom Cooney here should get himself a 2-frame cushion. Jordan Church, in theory, shouldn't worry about the time. He's such a quick player, he can easily rattle off a couple of frames, but it's that added pressure that comes with it.
And you know your opponent is going to start to play the clock down as well, start to use longer or the full 15 wherever they can once they get that 2-frame lead. I think the 8 ball goes to the top left, which means there's no real problems in this finish at all. Or just left that short, perhaps rushed the shot a fraction. As you could see, he was trying to come around the table to have a look how high he wanted to finish on this red into the centre pocket for good position, and then had to run back round because the beeps came in, excuse me. And now he's not quite snookered himself, but he has left himself really awkward. You can only see the red on the right, and I don't think this goes to the bottom right.
Yeah, it's a safety. And that's where the shot clock can get on top of you.
I think this is okay for Jordan. Just looking at a couple of the yellows are quite close together, but if you can land on one, like the two at the bottom of the table, they'll both go to the bottom left, and he can certainly land there. That'd be a safety shot now, I think, right behind that 8 ball. Yeah. Just look at the overhead just to see that that yellow that he did move down the table, I was just for a second thought he'd moved it a fraction too far. He wanted to make sure it still goes to the centre, and it does.
That's a pretty good effort. I thought he might have been able to do. I'm not sure if it was possible, but just looking at the overhead, it might have been. No, I think I'm going to really watch a bit. I wondered if he could go off the side cushion and make it a bit more hittable, but it's not a bad go from Don Cooney. Wasn't on in at second look.
Wasn't that far away from potting it, and if he pots it, then he's got a good chance to finish it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is such a massive frame for Jordan Church.
Yeah, that red, yellow at the bottom right is now blocked by the red. I think the one nearest the bottom cushion does slide by it. Oh dear, oh, he's played the, sorry, for a second there I thought he'd just snookered himself, but he's played the snooker completely. Didn't even look to see where the yellow was going.
Same level of jeopardy here, because the two cushion escape isn't too difficult. If he hits it, he'll go very close to potting it. It's just wrong sides.
Just in time. You heard the klaxon go to signify time foul, but you could clearly see he hit the ball just in the nick of time, although he was massively rushed again.
Yeah, good shot. It's just what Jordan Church needed. Can that give him the confidence now? The reassurance. We're in for a barnstorming final frame. This should go 5-5. There's 3 minutes left on the watch. Probably time for one frame, maybe two. The clock will come massively into play here. It's a brilliant screwback, wowee.
Slightly surprising to bring it all the way back. Thought he'd just leave it middle of the table for the 8 ball, but that's worked for him.
Never in doubt. All right then, 2 minutes 48. 5 all. It may well come down to this. This could well be a decider. If you assume that you have to pot 8 balls, it's 2 minutes. So there is time for more drama here. What will be really interesting is if it's not a clean lie and a little bit of tactics comes into play. Will Jordan Church come back to the table?
Will a player risk chasing a finish rather than accepting the 6 red shootout, which would, if they finish tied, be the case?
Needs a ball, gets a couple of balls, and now it's a chance for Dom Cooney. It's not the easiest lie. You've surely got to take yellows with where those reds are.
Yeah, and I think the 8 ball will double. The reds, it won't go obviously anywhere else, and it's difficult to move if you go yellows. But it will double to the right centre pocket. The red isn't in the way. Yellows are a chance if he's got one to the top of the table. Well, he's got one to the bottom of the table.
Can't be any mistakes from here. 6 red shootout is still on the cards. If Dom Cooney can't get over the line and Jordan Church fails to do so in time, and it ends 5-5. But Dom Cooney's got a chance here.
May have to take the one down the rail now. Can't get a good angle on the one down the rail, or a better angle than he has now. It's a big shot.
Yeah, it is. Extension used. Shot clip clock ticking down. Cool, as you like. Massive opportunity now.
Or has to cue this well. Yeah, didn't quite get through it as he wanted. He's still, is he okay? Can he see that yellow?
This is tight.
No, he's okay.
Just okay, wow. Great shot too. Jordan Church will have a chance. If you back anyone to clear the table in no time at all, you'd think he'd go close.
Doesn't want to move the red. Has he moved the red too far? He may have just nudged the red in the way of the double. I think he could still make it, but it's not as big a pocket.
This for a 6-5 lead. Massive shot. Or has he fluked it? No! And Jordan Church can go and win it!
He's got to play one cannon. He needs one cannon or we're going to a 6-red shootout. But can't afford to miss.
What a chance. Can he do it?
He can go into it now. This is the shot.
What a shot. And now it's there. Can he make 3 great pots? 25 seconds left. There's one.
Twice across the table. Shots on.
He's got to go quick here. And this white will be moving. He can't play it instantly. Has he left it? Just about, maybe. Has he got time to play it? It's right on the buzzer. Oh, unbelievable! Jordan Church with no time at all has gone and won it. Oh, it doesn't get any closer. What a finish.
Wow. That is as close as it gets.
That's remarkable. That is remarkable. What a finish from Jordan Church. Stats don't even begin to tell the story of that remarkable, remarkable finish. Oh, goodness me. We've seen some finishes. We have really seen some incredible finishes in this Masters competition. I'm not sure we can possibly go tighter than that. Jordan Church has made it through to tonight's final by the skin of his teeth. We'll speak to him when we come back. Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. Me and Simon have just about caught our breaths from that frantic, frenetic, fantastic finish from Jordan Church in the match that we just witnessed to get him through to tonight's final, where he'll take on Josh Kane for a place in the last 16 of the Masters. So I know you've had a few minutes to process it, although I'm not sure that's still enough time. What are your thoughts? What a crazy, crazy ending to that game.
Yeah, incredible ending, really. Speechless, to be honest. The 4-minute break we have in between probably isn't quite long enough to get your head around that. That was incredible. First of all, that miss from Dom, where he looked like he'd just played it perfectly, just nudged the red just far enough in the way to cause a problem, misses that on the jaw, and all of a sudden you're thinking, well, that means a 6-red shootout, because that finish, forget about the clock, the finish itself didn't look on. You know, to make that finish under that time pressure and to make that 8-ball in with, well, ridiculous. A split second to spare, absolutely ridiculous. But the one thing I will say in terms of the match, I think both players will be frustrated with the level they played at, but I think both players picked up in the second half, and especially when we got into that last 15 seconds, I think both players realised the match was there to be won, and actually we actually saw some really good finishes there at the back end of the match, right the way through to the final second.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we caught up with Jordan in the break there, and what struck me immediately was that he came straight in off the back of that finish and was easily the calmest man in the entire building. A remarkable finish, quite an interesting interview as well. Here's Jordan Church. I'd say joined by Jordan Church after that quite dramatic finish. Calmest man in the building. That was remarkable. The rest of the match we can almost forget about. Talk to us about that final 18 seconds, those 3 shots which won you the match.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I was half thinking, do I just sort of hold out and play for the shootout? Because I was thinking, right, it's not guaranteed. I've got 2 balls on the rail. When I went into them, they didn't really come out too great. But yeah, I just thought, while I'm here, I may as well go for it. I've always got. I think I had the next break anyway, so I thought I've got the outside chance of a golden break as well. So, yeah,
an incredible finish. And one thing that wasn't too clear to us watching was, were you aware of the match clock and just how tight it was? Because you took every fraction of a second possible.
I was sort of keeping an eye on it, but I think you have to sort of find the balance of not running around like a lunatic and still trying to knock in the finish. But yeah, I felt more settled there than I did on the 45-second shot clock. I was all over the place. It was just.
I was going to say, you looked at home at 15 seconds, but the first 3/4 of the match didn't quite look settled.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know Dom can play a lot better than that, but it was pretty rubbish before that, to be honest with you. It was just that I couldn't pot a ball. I didn't feel like I was going to pot anything. I thought I didn't know what the white ball was going to do. The best thing about my game there was the break, and I kept leaving easy finishes and then missing them. So yeah, just happy to get over the line, really.
Sets you up for a match now against Josh Kane for a place in the last 16. How much are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, I'll have to play a lot better than that. But yeah, I'll just see what happens, and I've had a little feel for it now, so hopefully I can win the next one.
Wish you all the very best luck. Congratulations.
Cheers, thanks very much.
And he's already back out on the table. The final tonight is underway between Josh Kane and Jordan Church. It's a good break from to open proceedings, but opening lie was terrible, and both players don't want to give this one away because Reds have a massive advantage to go and win this frame. Still open table. Josh Kane can get through. I thought Jordan Church seemed frustrated after the last safety, and that's exactly why, because he now knows that Josh Kane is almost certainly going to take these out and win the frame, and it's a tough situation now for Jordan Church, because I mean, ordinarily I'd be saying, how on earth do you pull yourself down from the high of what you've just done in the semi-final to then level yourself off and play a great game in the final? But I still can't get over how calm Jordan Church was. That was a ridiculous finish, and he was so blasé about it all. It's almost the perfect way to be, very level-headed, but remarkable, really.
Yeah, and I think that's going to help him a lot. I really do. I think you're right. I think if you get too high off that, because it was an incredible finish, then you're really going to struggle, because you've got to come right back down and start from 0-0. But I think the fact that he's so calm, he looks like he's ready to go again. Okay, he's lost his frame off that loose safety, but I don't think that last finish or last match is going to affect him too much.
Well, Josh Kane goes 1-0 up. A great start from Josh Kane once he was given the chance. That was never in doubt. That was clinical. That was Josh Kane at the end of his last match, as opposed to Josh Kane at the start, where it's a little bit tentative, a little bit slow. He told us in his interview he wants to speed up, he wants to be the aggressor and take the chance that's offered to him. And you can see by his resume, he is perfectly capable of doing just that.
Yeah, fantastic player. We saw the best of him in the back half of that match, of his first match. Started off a little bit slowly, but his all-round play throughout the whole match was very, very good. Didn't give things away when things didn't go his way.
Oh, that 8-ball was close. Almost like London buses with the golden break. Jordan Church knew as well, he had a little eye on it. That would have been quite some re-entrance if that was your last shot in the last game, was to win the game like that, and you come next to the table and do a golden break. Not sure it gets better than that, but alas, it's Josh Kane back at the table, and Josh Kane with a great chance of taking a 2-0 lead here. 8-ball's a problem though, looking at this.
Yeah, just the only question mark I'd really have is about that red next to the 8-ball. Is there room to land on that red? And I think there may be. If not, he's going to have to play a cannon. He does have options for a cannon, so it's not too bad. Still a finish I expect he's expecting to make. Looks like he's going to play that cannon straight away. Yeah, that's fine. It was either or there. Catch the 8-ball, you're fine. Catch the red, you're fine. Now they're open. Jordan said in his interview the only thing that he was really happy with in that first match was his break. Well, starts off this match with a dry break. May not be the best angle on this red at the top of the table, but doesn't need to do too much more than come back and try and get on this red to the centre. Actually had a nice enough angle to do so. And no real problems again here for Josh.
Yeah, we just talked about, can Jordan Church sort of screw his head back on and keep level-headed and play with great temperament in this next match? I'm not sure my head's screwed back on yet. I still can't believe what we witnessed. What a finish.
Yeah, it was just, I mean, I didn't expect it. Even with 4 seconds to go, I thought, well, there we go, 6-red shootout. I still couldn't believe it happening. And even
when he's glued to the reds, talk to me a little bit about how difficult a shot that is to make, because he's so close to it. To get the cue in and out without fouling is so difficult there.
Yeah, you've really got to just raise the butt of the cue, and you're striking down on it, and it was a difficult pot as well. So not just the, not fouling.
Well, Josh Kane has done exactly what he needed to do in response. He has been absolutely bulletproof. 2-0 in no time at all. It's an infinitely better start from Josh Kane than we saw in his previous match against Tony Blount. This is who he's up against. This is Jordan Church. No fear, Jordan Church. And he didn't fear that shot clock, that's for sure. 33-year-old from Raynham in Kent. He's a World Masters runner-up, as well as a 2-time junior world champion. He won the last major black ball event before lockdown last year. He was in fine fettle at that juncture, and has had to wait a little bit until his next tournament.
Yeah, first competitive match for a long time. He has been playing in some of the online matches that we see from people, the sort of ghost matches. What a break.
Josh has started this match absolutely man on a mission, hasn't he?
Yeah, and if we'd be talking about whether Jordan would be able to restart and go again, well, Josh is trying to make it so that it's not going to affect anything. Looking to get himself 3-0 in front before Jordan's had even a touch at the table. All Jordan's done so far is a loose safety.
Yeah, Josh Kane looks absolutely $1 million at the moment.
First shot here is slightly awkward.
But get that out of the way, and the table's at his mercy, really, on either colour set. Not particularly too difficult.
Yeah, he's controlled the right white well there.
Yeah, in perfect position again. And that was the thing that he struggled with, wasn't it? It wasn't necessarily the pots. His potting was still, I still don't think he missed a shot from memory in at least in the first 45 minutes of that match. I think there was a couple of loose ones towards the end, but potting was never an issue. What was causing him a bit of grief was his cue ball control. He didn't have it on a string. It wasn't as clinical as he wanted to be. He was giving Tony chances and he wasn't taking the chances that were offered. Here, this is lethal. Hasn't been an inch out of line yet. The shiny shoes are sparkling.
Well, he's going to need his good positional play here, because the one ball he has got to work out here is that one on the right-hand side, and I think the way these are laid out, he's probably going to leave it for his last ball.
Well, he's made it so that if he ends up just on this rail, doesn't have to worry about the white, can just keep it a nice straight pot, and he'll be on the 8 ball. And we've seen so many times his potting has been crisp all night long. Just needs it to be again, and he'll be 3-0 up. Just have a really lovely angle here, just to drop it in, and he's on the 8 ball, all on this pot. Never in doubt. What a start this is.
Yeah, it's brilliant stuff. Just this 8 ball to cap it off, but brilliant visit to table so far.
Just feels like this is the pool that we were sort of promised at the start of the night, wasn't it, with this lineup? And we're only just finally getting to see it. Josh wasn't 100% of the races he had to battle in that first game, but this is the sort of standard that we come to expect from players like Josh Kane and Jordan Church, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That wasn't the match we thought we'd see from Josh in that first match, but he sort of ground it out, and now he's getting the rewards from that. The reverse dish, break dish, following that counter clearance, or the first real chance in the first frame, you know, 3-0 very, very quickly, and he's putting Jordan Church under all sorts of pressure very, very early in this match. As we have a quick look at the lineup for the last 16, the first 4 players through.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, what a lineup already.
Oh, I can't wait for that. Where's the 8 ball? Oh, it's not tracking towards a pocket on this occasion. Another great break from Jordan. He did mention he was breaking well, and that's absolutely correct.
Well, he did manage to get the 8 ball on the move, but it hasn't gone into a nice place. He's going to have to cannon that out. Not in a position where he can make it as a double. And it may be a few shots before he gets to the position to cannon it out, which is always dangerous. He's going to want to leave himself an angle on the red that's the middle of those 3 that are lined up, to be able to come across and get that 8 ball out. Has to be very precise.
Yeah, and I get the sense that this frame's really big in the context of the match here, because if Jordan can be clinical and get himself on an even keel and take out a really difficult sort of finish here and keep up with Josh, we could be in for an absolutely amazing final. And that's okay. I think it now doubles at least.
I think so. When it's got balls covering it both above and below it, it's so hard to cannon it out. You have to do it with so much pace, and it was so hard for him to get an angle where he could go into it with lots of pace.
Wouldn't go as far as to say Jordan needs this frame, but I think it could be really, really key. Win it, and we've got a real game on our hands, I think. This shot therefore is massive.
Yeah, Jordan is normally a very good doubler of the ball.
Oh, that'll make you feel sick. Look how close this was.
That's the second one he's missed tonight as well.
Doesn't get close than that. It's tough to say that if he plays it a little bit slower, then it probably drops, because pace is so important as to where the cue ball, where the 8 ball bounces off the cushion there. But it's a really tough one for Jordan Church. He's a fraction off. And Josh Kane at the minute looks like he is never going to miss.
Not guaranteed finish though. 2 yellows on the left-hand side. Okay, the one on the break line is not too bad, but the one just below it could become awkward. He probably won't want to play it as a double. The 8 ball might be in the way, might not, might just be enough room. He could try and move it, or he could just clear the one on the break line first and then come back to it.
Yeah, he's got the angle now to play that top one of the left-hand side if he wants to. And you can see there's a visible change of pace to Josh Kane, isn't there? He's businesslike. He's seeing it and he's going for it. He's not doing what he was doing at the start of this match and almost double-checking himself. But that's a surprise. The first real missed pot that I can really remember of Josh Kane all night. Jordan Church wasn't going to turn that opportunity down. 3-1. Mentioned it was a massive frame for Jordan Church to win. Win it he does. We've got a game on our hand here. We've got a game on our hands. Josh Kane and Jordan Church into this last 32 match.
That could be a massive, massive moment in this match. It really could. 4-0 would be a huge start and a huge hole for Jordan Church to try and claw his way out of it. 3-1, not so much. Well, that just sums up Paul for you. It really does. That was a perfect break from Josh Kane. He couldn't catch them any better. And he comes up dry. And he comes up dry following that mistake, missing that pot on the previous frame.
Yeah, it happens so often. It really, really does.
Now the ball's in play.
A good chance here for Jordan as well. Just looking at the table, it was such a good break from Josh that either colour set really wouldn't have been too much of a problem.
Yeah, just the one on the rail with the perfect angle to drop on it. And the perfect ball to play on it after you potted it down the rail as well. Oh, he's moved into it, didn't have to do that. I'm surprised as well because he's now left himself slightly awkward angle.
Yeah, I'd say he's worse off now than he would have been if he'd have just dropped it in. But it was a shot he saw. Didn't quite get it right, but it is recoverable with a little bit of a reroute. Just to really raise the butt of the cue, though. It's a tougher pot than it looked. Oh, it's a brilliant shot. To get the white back to where it was is some shot from there.
Again, he's just a roll too far, though. If it stops straight on the yellow to the left corner, it's perfect. If it stops straight on the one to the right centre, it's perfect. Now he's got an angle on both balls where it's difficult to get nicely onto the next one. For me, this all stems from trying to move that ball down the rail.
Yep. I think he's got enough room here to send it a little bit round the triangle area, or is he going to go back the way he came? Yeah, that's a good shot.
Yeah.
Great recovery.
Beautiful shot, really was.
Played that beautifully. Simple roll through, and the 8 ball is a gimme. We're about to go 3-2. Josh Kane had the chance to make it 4-0, and now it's back within 1. It's a tough old sport, this, at times, isn't it?
It really is. And that's why you feel like when you've got the momentum and you've got the chance there to go and punish a mistake, go 4-0 up, you need to really take it. And, you know, when you've got your opponent down, get yourself, you know, as far in front as absolutely possible.
He's been around the game long enough, Josh Kane, to keep his head following the last sort of couple of minutes. It's not gone his way, but still a long, long way to go in this one. Jordan Church has been breaking well. Will that continue? Yes, it will. That 8 ball is constantly in motion on the Jordan Church break. And it really is a funny old game because it's another brilliant break. But again, it comes out dry and there's nothing you can do about that. That is, spread-wise, it's as good as you can hit a cut break, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. You've got to be happy with that in terms of the split and the way they've broken, but you just not made a ball, and that happens. You feel it's a very important visit to the table here for Josh. These reds look very inviting.
Red ball's in play.
Won't have been much thought about the yellows considering the lay of the table at the top there with the 8 ball not going because of the red. As we often look at, no clusters to worry about, no balls to develop, just about picking that good route. I doubt he was going to want to leave the red over the top left-hand corner as his last ball. So perhaps clear these 2 at the bottom and then use the one up over the top left to get yourself on one of the ones in the middle.
Yeah, it just seems risky, doesn't it, leaving that red over the pocket as your last ball, because if you go wrong, you're left with nothing.
I think a lot of players, if they were playing down the local, would be leaving that as their last ball simply because it's the one that's blocking the 8 ball, and if they miss, then they feel they've got a bit of a safety net there. But for me, it's the harder ball to get onto the 8 ball. Okay, yes, I'd still expect Josh to get onto the 8 ball if he did use it as his last ball, but I think there's better ways to go.
also there's way more margin for error on the other balls as well, because you just have more table room, don't you? If you go wrong on that shot, then you might well be left with absolutely nothing. At least if you go a little bit wrong on the others, you could still well go and win the frame. That's the sort of questions that players at this level constantly cycle through.
Nice little angle just to come straighter on this 8 ball.
Yeah, perfect position all the way through. Not missed a beat, Josh Kane. It's good mental fortitude from him. He's not been remotely affected by what went before. That is bulletproof pull once again from Josh Kane. He goes into a 2-frame cushion once again. 4-2, he leads. We're going to go to a break. He won't miss a ball. This final continues and resumes and finishes when we return. Here we go. Final 29 minutes and 52 seconds of this Ultimate Pool Masters last 32 match between Josh Kane and Jordan Church. Winner goes through to the last 16. To join Carl Sutton and Sam Bircher.
I'm sure he caught this as quite as cleanly as his previous breaks. Still made a ball though.
Yeah, isn't that just sod's law, isn't it? Worst break he's hit probably of this match, but it's the one that gets him to the table.
It's not the greatest layout in the world. Got a little cluster around the 8 ball there. I think he'd love to go reds, but he can't pot an easy red. You can't play yellow onto red, of course.
So good to see a crowd. Can't get over it. It feels a little weird, can't lie, but it's just so nice to see a venue open again. And just from a Q Sports perspective, you know, we're in here at the Players Lounge, and must say as well, what's been really impressive is how sensible everyone's being. It's not absolute bedlam in here, but it's buzzing.
Yeah,
it's busy. It feels like every table is taken up. 1 or 2 players just back on the bays again. Everyone having a great time. Because of course, whilst we tend to watch a lot of the best pool players in the country, the majority don't have that luxury of access to home tables, and the clubs have been shut for a very long time now. Everyone looks like they're absolutely buzzing to be back. There's a palpable sense of enjoyment in the air, and this electricity has translated into a really good final so far. Didn't translate over the first 2 matches, which, considering the standard that we were expecting them to be played at, wasn't all there. But this final has been played at a real level. Both Josh and Jordan are turning up here, and Josh now has to try and find a way to win this frame. Yellows are difficult from here on out. This is the big shot. That's not bad, yeah.
Very, very good. No attempt to play the skill shot there, just trying to get rid of the red over the pocket. He was trying to leave himself an angle a couple of shots ago to go into this red over the pocket. Couldn't do it, but then takes advantage and manages to get the red out the way and leave it awkward for Jordan Church. A very well controlled shot.
One thing you said earlier which just stuck with me was you referred back to Josh's performance in the Champions League when he won through, and he talked about not just a good solid performance, but his excellent match play. I think that's what really, for me, sets him apart and has set him apart tonight.
Yeah,
is when it doesn't quite work out, he's really level-headed, he's got great temperament, but he doesn't chase things that aren't there, and he's so good at the tactical side of the game. He very seldom plays a loose safety. Every single one's been brilliant tonight.
Yeah, there was a few times in his first match, you know, he wasn't on it in terms of cue ball control early, and there was a few times there where he could easily have pushed the boat out and gone for a double on his final ball or a really tough pot, and if he had missed those, then he's going to lose the frame. And in the end, he decided to play a safety shot or a controlled shot or a snooker, and he didn't give the frame away. He made Tony have to earn it and was able to come back to the table with a better opportunity because of it. Sometimes it's not all out attack. It's about it's being aggressive, but if the aggressive shot is going to do you more harm than good, then look for a better option.
Yeah, that's not quite gone to plan there for Josh Kane. I think Jordan Church does have a chance here to potentially go for these. It's just such a tough opening shot. Does he fancy it? As your answer.
Came round to have a look at this top left part of the table to see what he would leave if he left the cue ball up there, and first glance, not a lot, but Josh may be able to go cushion first and pop the one over the pocket, but it doesn't do him much good because the 8 ball and that yellow on the left hand side is such a big problem.
Yeah,
he's just so hard to solve.
He needs that red over the pocket gone, and that's, I think, what he was trying to play on the last shot was he was trying to force Jordan to play that red, but he didn't get the safety bang on.
If he wanted to, Josh could play the yellow below the 8 ball now, just nudge that on top of the red and get that one out of the way. This time he does decide to go for the plant. I didn't realise he could actually see that to make the plant. I thought the red might be in the way.
Now he's looking at the screw back, isn't he? Can he make this work? This would be a great shot if he can. Don't think he's got a huge amount of other option, really.
The odds are against him with all the reds there to get both these balls out. Odds are against him.
Oh, that's some shot. He'll take that.
He'd be happy with that. So, okay, it looks bad that the 8 ball hasn't come out, but it's in a position where he'd expect to make the double if he lands on it.
I think he can get through to the potting angle. If he can't, it's slightly less good news because it's a very, very tough cut and a difficult positional shot. But if he can get through to this yellow on the bottom of the table, he's in pretty good position. I just wonder if he can't.
I think he can, but he can't get position onto the yellow he's nearest to. Well, not easily. He was looking to see if he could just drop this in and take the yellow in the centre, but it looks too tight.
Oh, that's such a good shot. He'd have wanted that white just to spring off a little bit if he was being uber picky. Just wonder as well, could he now, if this white ball can stay at the bottom half of the table, can he play the 8 ball off the red maybe in the middle pocket as an option?
Possibly. I think
but the white's going up the other end of the table,
yeah,
unless he cuts it back to the middle, which is very tough.
I think whichever way he goes here is keeping the cue ball in a position where he could play a double. It's going to be difficult.
Pot's there.
Shot. Great shot. Oh, I thought that was just going to slide by and then have a double to the corner. He still might.
Yeah, it's a slightly different double to the one he would have wanted to play, I think.
No, he's not. He's come round to see off the bottom cushion. So he can't see enough of this 8 ball to take it to the bottom right corner.
It was nearly such a good shot, that.
When it hit the second cushion, I thought it was perfect. I really did. I thought that was going to just avoid the red and land on that double.
Now you can see what he's looking at. He's looking probably bottom cushion first, then side cushion. He wants to hit the 8 ball as close to full in the face as possible, flicking off the red into the middle pocket. Easy right. Oh, that's a really good effort. That would have been such a brilliant clearance from Josh Kane.
It was close. Just didn't get enough movement on the 8 ball there. It wasn't quite going to reach.
If he'd got it on the double kiss, I'd have almost said he probably deserved it just for going that close, but great attempt at the clearance. But he's not going to be rewarded. Jordan Church here has to take these out. There was a point if it was in the last match where you could tell he was struggling and everything was difficult, but at this point now he seems to be back in the groove and much more like the player that we know and absolutely love watching. He wanted to cannon the 8-ball on his last visit. That's not quite come out, but it's not in a dreadful position. He should be able to land on it okay.
Yeah, that second nudge that Josh got on the 8-ball when he played that previous shot may well just help him here, because it's going to put pressure on Jordan's shot on the 8-ball.
He should be able to get quite close to it there, which will help him.
These are never easy.
Straight after it for 4-3. Shot. We got a real game on our hands, folks. We have a real game on our hands. This is the quarter-2 draw. Winner of this goes into that last 16 with Carl Sutton and Sam Bircher. They'll play the winner of Declan Brennan, Early Bale, Craig Lakin and Chris Patient. A reminder that next week is on Friday, so we've got a bit of a wait now until our Group 8. Monday becomes Friday next week, so if you join us at the same time, same place next week, you won't see us. Wait until Friday and then we'll have Group 8. Brennan versus the Bullet. Can't wait for that one. We had Early Bale along a few weeks back. There's some fun with Phil the Power, and he looked in really, really good shape, did Early. Clearly been practicing an awful lot, and can't wait to see him go against Declan Brennan. That has the potential to be an absolute banger.
It really does. It really does. Declan is one of the favourites for this tournament. Before a ball was struck in the event, he'll be favourite for that group, but he's up against it because it's a tough lineup for him.
Red ball's in play.
Oh, John's got a great lineup here. That's a lovely opening shot, just to prise apart that red and yellow.
Just trying to work out the angle he needs on this red. Can he get to the angle he needs on the red that he's nearest to? You'd like to get that one out the way next and then work your way up the table. Looks like he's got enough that he could create. The red's close enough to the pocket, you feel like he could create an angle there.
Well, it's not often we've seen an extension used so far in this match. It's been played at a fair click. This next shot is tricky.
This is what was giving him all that thought. He knew he couldn't leave himself anything but this sort of angle, so now needs to avoid the yellows.
Done that really well. That's a really, really good shot, because now he's got the lovely line just to float on up the table, take out that final red, and the 8-ball should be a gimme into whichever pocket he wants it in, really. Going to take top left. Going to be 4-all, 18 minutes left. This is a really, really good final. A match that we hoped we'd see at the start of the night, we are finally getting. Brilliant match so far. Reminder of quarter 3, Group 9 is another really, really good one. Looking forward to seeing Simon Fitzsimmons back. Still can't wait for Group 10. That's a brilliant group where any one of the 4 players could come out of that and you absolutely wouldn't be surprised. Can't wait to see the younger Davies go, Ryan Davies, the young snooker starlet. And you've got Aaron Davies versus Shane Thompson in round number 1, which is a draw that neither player would have wanted at that stage of the competition, but beggars can't be choosers. An open draw for the Masters, and it's given us some barn-burning opening ties at times. Josh Hughes straight into the corner pocket. only thing
I'm running.
and he'll be pleased with is this finish isn't easy.
Not the first time he's done this tonight either. The last time he went into the top left, this time he goes straight into the top right. And the way he tries to break, getting the white to come straight back up the centre of the table, you only have to be out by a fraction and you bring those corner pockets into play.
As I say, this finish isn't straightforward. I think reds will be the choice. Maybe, but might be changing his mind here. Just think those two reds in that little cluster of four, I think they both go to pockets.
I think he's changing his mind. I think he agreed with you that reds were the way to go, and now he's thinking yellows. He's looking at the yellow to the top left, go into the two that are a bit of a problem, and then there'll be one left at the top of the table to worry about.
Yeah, it's a canny little shot, isn't it?
And he can go into that one at the top of the table now.
Because now if you look at the table, then yellows would absolutely be a choice, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Lovely little opening shot from Jordan Church. Another good cannon, but that's not come out kind.
Yeah, he's on nothing. Possibly a double. That's about it.
It's something, it's a little scrap of information that I've always held on to since the very first time we commentated together, Simon, all those years ago. And it was, if you don't have to play a cannon, don't play it. That was the advice you gave me, advice I continue to ignore whenever I pick up a cue. But it's something that has always stuck with me. I always hear your words when I see it. That wasn't all that necessary, was it, for Jordan Church? Certainly at that pace.
Yeah, it was a difficult one because the ball at the top didn't go to the top right, or it didn't look like it was going to go to the top right. So it needed to be nudged, but the way he was going to nudge it was always going to nudge it towards ball. So it was a very difficult one to get right. He may have, I wonder whether he might be able to play the ball he did play off the red and maybe open up the pocket that way, but it may have been a touch too far. So but I do agree with you, don't have to, then I wouldn't advise it. I have to say, Jordan Church is one of the best players I've seen attempting doubles, and that effort from him was a mile away. It's as far as I've ever seen him miss a double bite.
That's a lovely little cannon from Josh. Stylistically, it's an interesting matchup, this, isn't it? Because Josh is a little bit more controlled, a little bit more sort of clinical, you'd say. Whereas Jordan a little bit more flamboyant, a little bit more exciting. Just see there, even in the way they approach cannons, Josh is subtle, it's smooth, only if necessary.
This is where he's really trying to figure it all the way through. Which order does he want to take these out in? When do you want to go across for that one on the right hand side? Which ball are you going to use? What ball are you playing on off it? All these things going through his head right now. It looks so easy when you look at the table. Everything's wide open, but he's still got to pick and plot that route. Eight ball doesn't go into the centre pockets, so probably giving him a little bit of thought as well.
Just saw him chalking his cue there. Josh Kane, 7.1mm tip. Don't think you could possibly get smaller than that.
Don't see many that small. You do see the pool world use much smaller tips in other cue sports, but 7.1 is particularly small.
Wouldn't dream of breaking with it, would you?
Absolutely not. Oh, he's just a shade short, just a fraction. I was really keen to leave the red at the top of the table as his last ball to make sure he was going to be high on the 8 ball to the bottom corners. If he'd gone the other way round, he could easily have left himself awkward on the 8 ball, but By going that way, he's made his route onto this ball here trickier, and that's why he hasn't landed.
Yep. The issue he's got here is this could go very, very wrong. He might not have a shot after this. The pot's tricky. The white ball's even tougher. What a good shot that is. What a good shot that is from Josh Kane. As we head towards these final 10 minutes, moments like this can be so, so important.
He's done well to get to this point. Didn't think he was going to be able to once he left awkward on that one down the rail. 2 good shots, but this still needs some potting. A lot of pressure on it.
Yeah, big pot this to take the leads. Never in doubt, right in the heart of the pocket from Josh Kane as we tick towards that 15-second shot clock. This one could go down to the wire as we remind ourselves of what's still to come. Quarter 4 of the Ultimate Pool Masters draw. Maybe my favourite quarter this, but I might be being a little bit optimistic, who knows, but it's got some absolute bangers in there. Neil Raybone joins the party, so too Group 14's absolutely loaded, isn't it? Really looking forward to that one. Group 15 as well, Hill versus Chipperfield, what a match that is. And anyone who comes out of Group 16 is going to be a problem for anyone who comes out the groups above them. Really, really loaded.
Every group you look at, every quarter of the draw is just stacked.
That's a great break from Jordan. Wowee, one of the best ones he's hit all night. As the shot clock counter officially ticks over, we're now into 15-second territory, into the witching hour of this Week 7 final.
15-second shot.
Yellow's is his choice, but perfect angle to play on the only yellow that's awkward. On the first shot. I suppose the yellow to the right centre is difficult to get perfect on. Whichever angle you leave on that, you're probably going to be travelling with the cue ball.
Extension ball.
He's played that really well.
Still needs a couple of really good positional shots. Cue ball's going to be doing a little bit of mileage here, I think. Yeah, on and off the bottom cushion. He could take this to the bottom corner. That would be the much easier shot positionally. Yeah, that's what he's going to do.
Tougher pot, mind. Promise it was. Made that look so easy, didn't he? Brilliant work from Jordan Church. No time at all. 5-5. Thank you very much.
Right.
Oh, this is going to go close. Who you got? This final is on a knife edge. Winner goes through to the last 16 to join Carl Sutton, to join Sam Bircher, for a chance to go through to the semi-final of the Masters. Could not pick a winner at this juncture. Both are playing so well.
They are. There's been quite a few finishes from the break in this match, especially compared to their first matches tonight.
Oh, yeah. The difference is unbelievable. Josh Kane, I want to give a huge shout out as well to Jordan Church, because Josh Kane did what he had to do. He took a break, went away, came back, looked laser focused. He's barely missed a beat in this match. He opened up the match brilliantly with 3 frames on the spin. But I have to say, So impressed with the mental fortitude, the ticker of Jordan Church to keep himself composed, especially with how his match ended. It's been so easy to just fry the mind a little bit, but to keep on an even keel and to then put in a much better performance. So impressed by Jordan Church.
Interesting for me is the fact that he's also doesn't look as frustrated out there. He was visibly showing signs of frustration in that first match, getting annoyed with himself, not getting the cue ball under control, missing a few pots here and there. In this match, okay, he's made a couple of mistakes, nowhere near like he did in the first match, but he has not allowed it to frustrate him. When he has made a mistake like the previous frame with that missed double, he's just responded with a great visit very next time he comes to the table.
Wobbled in the pocket just to get that extra angle off the cushion, but it was worth it.
He's worked this brilliantly to here. Just needs to avoid this yellow.
Just get the sense that both players are peaking, aren't they? Playing their best pool of the night in the final 10 minutes of the match where it matters most. This is what the best players do. The match that we hoped we'd see. We thought we might get it with Dom Cooney versus Jordan Church. We didn't in the end for a multitude of reasons, but this match has delivered big time. Top quality from start to finish, and the finish could yet be box office. There we go, 6-5, 6.5 minutes left. I was about to say, who've you got at this point, Simon? But it is an absolute coin toss at this stage, isn't it? This just comes down to who can hold it together and who gets the chances. If one of those two differentiates, that's when the winner comes.
Yeah, I think so. I think so far we've seen in this match is Josh keeps edging ahead, gets himself in front, but Jordan not getting frustrated, and he keeps coming back. He's been a couple of frames behind a couple of times and has to keep responding, but he does keep responding.
That 8-ball is constantly in motion, isn't it? It's interesting, he said in his interview earlier, didn't he, that he still had it in his mind that he might get a golden break if he had the extra time at the end of the first match. It's clearly something he feels confidence with, because he's getting that 8-ball moving every single break.
Just shows you how much is going on in his head with 40 seconds to go, and he's got to clear 7, 8 balls, whatever it was left on the table, and he's got the time to think about the fact that, well, do I take these on? Do I not take these on? If I do and I don't get it, I might still have the golden break chance, and all this sort of stuff's going through his mind. And
to be that calculated, that cerebral, with that much clock pressure, with that much table pressure, the lie was horrifically difficult. It's so impressive. Been really impressed with Jordan Church tonight, and not always necessarily for what he showed us on the table. It's been what he's shown in his mind and in his mental aptitude that's probably impressed me the most. But make no mistake, in this second match he's shown us what he can do on the table. This has been high quality.
First couple of shots to get to this point have been excellent.
We genuinely, at the rate this is going, we may even get an 8-7, because these two are flying through the frames, playing at great pace, and it really could go anywhere. This is now a big shot though, because Jordan isn't perfect here,
and he can't get perfect on the 8-ball, has to leave a tricky little cutback. He actually there's more room there than I thought he would be able to get. This is about as comfortable as he could be on it.
Yeah, any more over to the left though, he's in a little bit of trouble. He's played that perfectly. Both players are delivering in such a big way here. Right. 6 apiece, under 5 minutes to go. If you go on the assumption that 8 balls potted, about 2 minutes a frame, this could be a very, very interesting finish.
Yeah, it really could. And look at the finishes we got on off the break there. To me, it's both players are now absolutely flying. Which players are going to get the opportunity from these next couple of breaks? This could be over in the next 2 minutes with two very quick finishes. That's the way these guys are playing.
Yep.
They get two opportunities.
Or it could go down to the final 40 seconds when it's 7 apiece.
A lot can happen here. These breaks are huge.
You won't miss a minute here on Free Sports. Stay with us. That breaks. Oh, where's the 8 ball? Oh, I can't believe that stayed up. That's gone in the pocket and come back up, hasn't it?
I thought it was still moving. With all the talk of how well he's been breaking tonight, that's by far and away his worst break. He just did not catch them. Almost felt like he was a bit tentative on the break.
That's amazing. I still can't believe that. That 8 ball still looks to me like it's going to drop in. This frame is now on a knife edge.
Yeah,
both players use their extension too.
And we were talking potentially about a player being able to go quick 2 finishes and get out of here with an 8-6 victory. All of a sudden, this frame looks like it's going to be the last frame of the match, because this has got some serious mileage in with that 8 ball over the pocket. Yellows are an absolute no-go. That red on the left-hand side is a real problem to try and develop or solve. I don't see how...
I don't know how you get to that red on the left. I genuinely can't think of a way that finds a pocket anywhere.
Yeah, normally you'd be looking to try and come into it from one of these reds on the right-hand side, but I don't think he can do that. If he's straight enough on the right hand of the 2, he can come straight back and potentially leave an angle on the second one to then go across and get into that red. There is probably an angle there.
Is there a potential to play a skill shot? If he leaves that as his last red, put the red and the 8 ball? Don't think that's legal in this rule set now.
No, can't pot your last ball and the 8 ball.
There's the shot. Oh, the little clench of the fist as well. You could tell he loved it.
He's worked that out brilliantly. That was so hard to do, to actually get to that point where he could even have a ball to open up, and brilliant stuff.
This is the clearance of the night. This is by far and away, given everything surrounding it as well, the clearance of the night. This is clutch from Kane. 2.5 remaining. And now the clock comes into it. You see the thinking. He wants to use up as much time as possible. Utilise that lead. Two minutes and 15, 14, 13 seconds remain. 7-6. Josh Kane is 1 frame from home. That shot is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's the way he managed to work it to that point where he could have that shot. He had to get a couple of balls out of the way to be able to do so. And once he managed to do, he managed to give himself that angle. He was able to get the perfect cannon and knock it into play. Absolutely, it's one of the best clearances we've seen in the competition so far.
Yep, hands down. Given everything that was riding on it and what was at stake should it have gone wrong, that was remarkable. What a break that is from Jordan Church. Wow. Now then, needs to figure these out quickly. It's called his extension. Jordan Church, as he said to us earlier, backs himself in a 6 red shootout. I think we're going to one hit. If he can clear. If he can clear. 4 reds and the black. That's 1 minute and 15 seconds. There is not going to be much time left if Jordan Church can finish these.
It's not ideal.
This is tough. This is now tough.
He might be able to just drop this in and slide by it. Maybe have the red into the opposite corner. Maybe red into the top pocket. Can he avoid that of the red?
Oh, and there it is. It's not a foul. He doesn't have to worry about that. But the biggest problem is the missed pot. Can Josh Kane now chew enough clock to win the match? He doesn't need to clear these. He just needs to keep Jordan Church off the table.
There's enough open balls for him here.
Jordan Church's chance to win this match and to qualify through to the last 16 might have just evaporated. It's another brilliant cannon. Tell you what, Josh Kane has played well in this match. Both players have, but when the chips were down in that final, well, in this final 15 minutes, he's been absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's just slightly worried about the angle on this yellow, I think. And using as much of that clock as possible as well.
This is the pot. 10 seconds is probably going to be too much of a task even for Flash Jordan Church. He'll give it a go, mind. Oh, he's not going to be far off. Oh, he's not going to be far off. My goodness me. Josh Kane is a relieved man. There's a reason Jordan Church is called the Flash. He was so close. This was the moment that it hinged. Couldn't quite get it over the line. Wowee, what a finish. We have seen some drama tonight, Si.
Yeah, that was incredible. I mean, brilliant performance from Josh to win the match, but Jordan almost managed to make an unbelievable clearance once again. He was only 1 second away from taking us to a 6-red shootout. That was absolutely incredible. But for me, that was one of the best matches we've seen in this competition so far. And that clearance to go 7-6 up from Josh Kane, for me, is the best visit to the table we've seen in this tournament.
What a final. What a final. The first two matches didn't promise us too much. Players were nervy. They were twitchy. They weren't quite there. That final was top quality. Challenge you to find a better match than that in the last few weeks. Absolutely brilliant stuff from Josh Kane, who qualifies through to the last 16. We will hear from him when we come back. Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. What a finish tonight. Josh Kane has done it. There he takes his place in the last 16 alongside Carl Sutton and Sam Bircher. He awaits the winner of next week's quartet. He joins me now. Josh, first of all, wow, that was some match to watch. Probably the match of the tournament so far for me. What was that match like to play in?
Yeah, it was great to be a part of, to be honest, Steve. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Played well. So over the moon to get the win, especially as you see what happened at the end there. Jordan's probably the quickest player on the circuit, while in the top 2 or 3. So, and he nearly pulled it off.
Because you left that table, from our perspective and from the sort of objective perspective, you did absolutely the right thing.
Yeah.
Use as much clock as possible. So in the worst case scenario, you've got that insurance policy. You must be leaving the table there thinking, 8 seconds left, there's no chance. How much is your heart in your mouth when he plays 3 stop shots?
I couldn't believe it. I thought he'd done it, to be honest. When he rammed the black in, I thought, but then I heard the beeps just before he queued up. So,
remarkable finish. A remarkable performance as well. As you mentioned, the match before that was such high quality. It took 2 to tango, of course, but how pleased were you with your performance?
Yeah, very pleased. Obviously, a couple of missed pots, which if I lost the match, it would have been down to them, I think. But yeah, I'm happy with my performance overall, yeah, definitely. Because
you came to us after the first match and you weren't particularly pleased with your performance, had a bit of a think about it. Started like a train in that match with 3 finishes off the break. That really just set the tone, didn't it? Yeah, it was a high quality match from my point of view, and I think Jordan's as well. Well, he got off to a slow start, so I hope the fans at home thought it was the same. I think they did, mate. And in terms of this competition, obviously you had such rotten luck with the Champions League last time when we spoke to you after you qualified. Fingers crossed everything goes well this time around, but how excited are you now to get into the latter stages of a competition? Because, I mean, if you thought that field was stacked for that competition, it's even more loaded here, isn't it? Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next stages. It's been a tough few weeks for me off the table, so I'm really happy to get through and looking forward to the next stages. Well, I can't wait to watch you again. That was for you, Dad. Congratulations, mate, and we can't wait to watch you again. Cheers, Steve. Si, a remarkable night tonight.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant night. Had so much drama, so many twists, so many turns. Absolutely loved it. One of my favourite nights of the competition so far, and that was a very deserved winner as well. Josh spoke really well there, and he really did play, a fantastic match. I think he actually played two fantastic matches, but in two slightly different styles. The first one he had to kind of had to fight a little bit harder and didn't quite have the control he needed to be able to take out the finish after finish after finish. But once he got through, he really played well, took out some great finishes in that match. 4 finishes from the break, as well as that brilliant clearance to go 7-6 up after the couple of safety shots in there as well. A very deserved winner.
Yeah, what a night. Absolutely fantastic. Hope you enjoyed that, ladies and gents. I know from mine and Simon's perspective, we certainly did as well. Next week, don't forget, we are with you on Friday night. There's no Monday night pool next week. We are delayed by 5 days. We'll be with you on Friday night for Group 8 of the competition, and what a great group it is as well. Oli Bale versus Declan Brennan opens us up, and Craig Lakin versus Chris Patient on the other side of that draw. That is next Friday. Do join us then on Free Sports. We will see you then. We'll just about get our breaths back by then. Good night.